on the agenda, is there any adjustment to the agenda, any additions or changes?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's pretty full.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we have quite a bit on there.
All right. So review of previous minutes. Let's start with May 9th since we have those.
May which?
May 9th?
I think we
I
only
don't have a
have
copy
the
of that.
16th
I have the
and,
16th and the 21st.
Okay. Did we already approve the 9th then?
no, Marty's printing them right.
Okay, all right. So I'll hold off on that. I have that digitally. What was the other one then? The 16th?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't see anything.
Okay. Just a follow-up question. Erin had asked about ditching on the Blanchard Road. Do we have any update on that or any change?
On, like, where,
I'm sorry, it was the DOT.
yeah,
Yes, I did.
yes, we did, and, I follow up again, I has completely blocked out again.
Yes.
So I'm gonna send them lovely pictures and say, this is what's happening.
The only other thing on the minutes is we just need to note our motion and second and time of adjournment.
Oh, that wasn't on there?
No,
Okay. For May 16th?
yeah, if you have it, otherwise going forward, we'll just make sure we.
Okay, yeah,
get that.
like I said, usually this is Marty's.
Yeah.
Key, and I think, so the 21st has it, and then I think I edited.
The 16th has a time, it just doesn't have,
It doesn't have,
It has at
this
the end.
paper copy has a time.
Oh, okay,
8:32.
I
okay,
was gonna say, I did edit one of them,
all right, very
because I
good.
noticed at the end,
Let's go
so I had to look
So
it
do you
up.
want to sign it,
Sure,
or do you want to sign first? I forget, is that all we have to do?
Erin, did you have any other?
Is that just the 16th that we're doing, or the 21st as well?
The 21st we need to do as well, correct? All right. So this is May 16th.
May 9th.
First. That goes back to, and then, another question, Erin had mentioned at that meeting about the siding falling off the gym, and just reminded me the other night when we were there, the hinges on the doors, on the left was loose, well, it was
Off.
off.
The screws were about this long and they should have been that long.
Yeah. And James mentioned
Just
that
on the door?
on the doors,
On the back
the side
The
door,
side door.
Toward the medical center.
Okay,
yeah. So we couldn't close that door because it was off the hinge on the top.
is that a brand new door?
No,
That-
outside doors are.
That door fell
I-
apart before and has
Because
been
didn't-
repaired once.
Archie do something with
He
it?
built the roof over it.
He didn't
Okay,
do the door. He
Okay,
may have
alright.
worked on the
He
frame,
did
but
do something though, actually. Oh, no, he did because he came and told me it was all rotted out
yeah,
under there, so he did have to take some stuff apart, but I don't think he, replaced the door. I think he just
did a
took
round
it
door?
down and fixed it and put it back.
James looked at it that evening and he said it just needed longer screws, because
Okay.
there's short screws in it.
All right.
And I
so
think you mentioned the other door on the other side might need to be looked at too.
Okay,
that one at least closed.
That's May the 30th.
oh, I already have it.
Oh, you did. Where are we going to help me now?
I know, it doesn't do it down there for some
It
reason.
used to, because how do you stop it?
You go back to more and then recording, and then do that, it's a stop recording. They must update something, because now you have reactions.
All right, Elaine, I have another question.
I might have an answer.
And hopefully you say no. So on the traffic control and the speed bumps, we went ahead to purchase two that were less than 10,000, correct? But did we need to vote on that at this meeting?
To take the money, yeah,
To take,
from the reserve.
Right, right.
so yes.
I thought we did, but it's not noted, so,
I thought we
might have
did
been, but
too.
it may have been before those, because I mean, we talked about this a long time ago.
right, right.
And I thought that we had two, it just wasn't. So maybe we should just, for make sure.
How should we handle that?
There's a miscellaneous, we can put
Okay.
under there,
All right.
but I'm gonna write it down so that we don't.
If you want to, I can go get the bill. the
Oh,
actual
there's
bill.
also a speed bump update
Right.
part too, so we
So we
should
can
add
do
it
it
there
now.
too.
Right, right. Okay.
Just a second. So we have to-
Questions? And again, just going forward, you'll have to note the vote to adjourn.
Oh, okay.
And then April 30th, wow, there were a lot of meetings that we, yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of happenings for a little while.
We just like getting together.
Yeah, we're good friends. Very good.
Or these are all the signed minutes.
Oh, okay.
This is the moving one,
Oh, we got one more? Oh my
June
gosh,
13th.
June, okay.
so after.
All right.
And where are we at with the warrants? Are those done too, or not?
No,
Okay,
we will probably need to stay after.
okay, very good. Well, this is a good start. We like it.
And we did that. All right.
We have heat and air conditioning on. So maybe back her down on air conditioning.
Are you turning it down a little bit? Well, if they're making it warmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, if we made it cold enough that the heater kicked on, I feel like maybe we should
That
chill
might be
it,
enough.
That would be silly.
calm down. a
As
bit.
hot as it's been, I will take.
I know.
Yeah, not complaining. All right. Okay, I didn't see any public comment up there. We're good? All right. Town manager report.
Okay, so the majority of my report is gonna fall somewhere on this agenda, but there is a couple items that is not. So, first up would be internet at the transfer station. So this is kind of a follow-up for the solar, credits and stuff too. So when I spoke with Vaughn about the solar credits, he said for the first couple of years, he was bringing his own laptop and actually connecting it to the solar panels. But the hardware, this is all outside of my area of specialty. So the hardware, I guess, has a data, but it's now full. So he can't tell how long, if it's been like a whole year or if it's been just a couple months of data because it's now full. So he can't see really what the generation is anymore without internet. And so supposedly in that agreement, that sales agreement, it was the town's responsibility to get internet at the transfer station when we got the solar. true that is. Because I never, but I do think it's a good idea to have internet down there, especially
Yeah.
because there's no cell phone service and
Right.
for stuff like
Is
that.
that a realistic?
Yes, it
Okay.
is. So it's gonna be the same monthly for the internet as it is here, which is $54 something a month. And it's free installation, except for we're gonna have to pay $12.50 per pole every month, and there will be 3 poles. So it'll end up being like $100 and something a month
Okay.
for internet.
Are the 3 poles down there?
Yes,
Okay.
As long as Jim promises not to go on Amazon.
yeah.
spending spree. No, just kidding.
Right, exactly. But it would also give us the opportunity to see how these panels are operating, if there's a panel that's out, because he can't even see that, to see if they're just not generating what we expected them to, or anything like that. So he did explain the CMP bills a little bit more to me on the generation, because I did say, we're being billed for 2,300, but we barely ever reach 2,300. And so he explained to me that some of the generation is used before it's metered. And so CMP can't capture what is 100% being generated, because what's being used as it's being generated, or something similar to that. So whatever the transfer station's using immediately before it goes through the meter can't show up on the CMP bills. So those months that are close to 2,300, with that other generation that's not collected through the meter, it would be over
But
23.
that would only be the months that were closed
Well, the days, I guess.
or days.
Did he say why they would have it taken off before it's metered?
It's like I don't really know. So I'm trying to explain it in a normal way, but it's like if your house was set up to a solar, it would be using that solar as it's generating at the same time without going through your meter to CMP first. So you're using it as you're making it, so to speak.
Glenn, do you want to chime in?
Does that make sense?
You're right.
Okay.
That makes
Oh
sense,
my
but I
goodness.
think, my thinking, if I was designing something like that, there'd be a meter for the output, and then
Right,
there'd be a
and so-
meter.
So if
So
we had
if we had
internet,
internet,
it
we
would do
could
that.
see that
Okay.
through the solar panels. The hooking it up through that, we would be able to see that if we had internet, supposedly.
I would just say that it looked to me like, from looking at the CMP bills at one point, that they could tell the difference between what was generated.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, but-
That's what I thought too. But yeah, so that was the explanation for that. And then, but having internet down there I feel like for $100 a month, it really wouldn't be making or breaking the bank for.
Would, as we get into the discussion about security cameras, if
Right.
there was internet down there, would it make sense to consider, I don't care what Jim's doing, but even just on the gate to
Right.
see if there's a legal, I know that the process for getting the key is much different than it was.
Right, yeah.
And I think down around, Jim Shack and the dumpsters, because when I've come up to get the key before and gone down there, I found, well, most of the time it's been kids down there. And
Supposedly,
Had,
there is security down there.
there is one camera. But I don't know if that goes on to a hard drive or if that's just. so
Yeah, I
Jim
don't
can
know
sit there
anything
and
about
watch.
it, but I know there is, and I believe that Seacoast Security was the one that did it. Maybe we can follow up with somebody about that.
Okay, question for them.
Okay, so
We
I'm
can
gonna.
table that for sure.
So, yeah, and just to follow up on the solar, so I have a question. So
Mhm.
if, fingers crossed, we get this community resilience grant to pay off the solar, then we need to manage that, or how?
Yeah.
Okay,
I would, assuming that it would be our responsibility at that point. I don't know if there's like somebody you contract with that does maintenance that would
Right.
do something like that, or how that would work.
You can contract it out, but the other thing I wanna mention is, in the contract that you have to buy power, it says you can't buy it out before, I think it's 6 years.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean they won't sell it, but I mean,
Right.
you don't have the right to contractually buy it out yet.
Until
Okay, how many years left do we have?
Really?
I don't know. What are we?
We're probably on year 5, I would say,
4 or
maybe.
5.
I mean,
It depends on when the date was of the
Contract?
yeah. So, but there was 2 different dates. There was one that we found, and then the other date when
There's a date on the contract, but then there's a date of commercial operation.
commercial operation, that's what I was looking for.
Okay.
So I don't know what the date of commercial operation was. I do have the contract date, but those were Daniel days where paper was very hard to locate.
Right, okay. Okay. So, do you need anything from us as far as internet?
No, I basically just wanted to run it by you guys before I just went ahead and did it.
Sounds
And-
logical,
Okay,
needed.
and then the safety audit. So, I'm gonna call it a safety audit because I don't know what else to call it, but it's very similar to that. A guy, his name was Jason Johnson from MMA came and he basically walked around and showed me everything that we could get dinged on from OSHA or the Bureau of Labor. So, there was a couple of things like minor things like, we have some outlets that don't have outlet covers. We had an extension cord that shouldn't have been in operation. Some of the eye wash containers in the fire station are outdated. Very simple fixes. But then, we have lack of training for the office people. I guess there's a whole list of trainings that really need to be done. So I'm working with MMA because they have an online university that has all the required trainings in there. So I just got access to the online university to become an administrator so that I can be the administrator for these classes for the fire department, public works, transfer station, everybody. And so what I'm thinking about doing is probably doing, like, we probably have to close the office for a day and do just a annual training and then down and watch all of the videos all day and get everybody signed off. It's so much fun. Yeah, everybody's gonna be super stoked. I'm looking forward to it.
I had to do that before school started every year. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like bloodborne pathogens.
Yeah.
We have to come up with a fire safety plan and just make sure everybody signs that they got it, that kind of stuff. The floor downstairs, there's like a little separation between the bays that comes around. That's like a little raised thing. We have to paint that bright orange. Our ladders don't have the weight restriction stickers on them. So he said that I don't have to replace the ladders, but I just have to replace the stickers. So I guess Amazon will be my friend for that. So we have like not necessarily like a timeline, but a way to respond to these surveys. So whenever we complete something, I have to send them proof that we completed it. But we were in much better shape than I predicted, so that was pretty good. And then, you guys might have seen on Facebook, we're currently running a contest for a town flag.
Yeah.
So it's basically open to everybody. And we just basically wanted to see what people think when they think of Monson and what the different ideas that we're gonna get and the different creativity. There's a lot of creativity right here in town, so. And then, the winner will be picked by the public, so it won't be just something that we just decide. And then we will make a flag out of it to display here or at the beach, and just around town.
How are you thinking the vote?
I was thinking that maybe we could display them here and then we can display them, like even taking pictures of them on Facebook and then having people vote when they come into the office and just, and stuff
We could
like
have
that.
special town meeting.
Yeah, we can have a special town meeting.
Instigator.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the beautification committee has talked about and looking into banners for some of the black poles that we
Light poles, yeah.
have. And I was just thinking, we could even turn those into
Yeah.
banners at some point if we wanted.
Yeah, I
Or
just,
like seasonal things, but it could be, yeah.
right, yeah. I just, this was actually a Molly idea. But
Very good.
I,
Beautification committee.
but yeah, I just thought it would be a great community building exercise to do to see.
When does that contest?
I think we put August,
I saw it.
I think August something. Do you remember? I don't remember either. Jade came up with the deadline, so I think it's in August. And then, let's see if anything else falls under here. So another thing that we thought of doing is painting the barriers at the beach. The woman that did the ones at Scoops that Libra has said that she would do the ones at our beach. And I basically just wanted to bring it up to you guys to tell you about it before you guys just drive by and see all kinds of pretty pictures on the beach. But we're not really sure what she's going to do right now.
Maybe paint them like boats.
Boats,
And then think they can float.
Yeah, I know. It's really depressing to think about when the state of our beach right now, when we've put so much work into it. But
Well, that's awesome.
yeah, and so Glenn, Molly, and I are going to paint the barriers all white so she can have a fresh canvas to work with.
Are we-
She's just gonna do it.
It's not gonna cost anything?
No, she's
Really?
well, yeah.
What's,
She was gonna charge us for the,
Is
pump
Jen-
station. Yeah.
Oh, they're painting.
All right.
Guys, again,
Can I speak? I know you
Yeah.
haven't spoke. Just
No.
because we thought it would bring color,
Color, you know.
more color to the
Yeah.
beach.
More
Nice
life.
to see how many people are using the beach. I mean,
Oh.
people have used it every year, but now with picnic tables and, I think it's definitely been seeing a lot of use and the heat.
The heat
sure.
has definitely helped that, but I know, and it just, it's so sad to see it like this right now.
I haven't been down there yet.
I have some pictures I can show you after the meeting.
Pretty good.
May I speak again?
Sure.
So we just want to give you okay, obviously it's because of the condition of the beach right now.
Yeah.
And like she said, that we're gonna let Jennifer have her, what do you call it, artistic license
Mhm.
to, and she does good, great job.
Yeah.
So, so just want to get the okay to do that
Yeah.
at some point.
So I think that moving forward is, I mean, already 3/4 of the way through the summer anyways, so if we can get this ball moving.
Yeah, I agree. I love the idea because it will just brighten that
Whole
area.
area.
even
Yeah.
more.
It'll make it look less like a construction site.
Yeah, the Jersey barriers, yeah.
A real plus.
Although it is apparently an ongoing.
It is ongoing, which is
But-
thankful that our permit that we got to put sand on the beach is, still good because we're just gonna continuously.
Perpetual.
That's what I'm
We-
trying.
Yeah, we've decided.
Pull any of it out. Sorry, we're going down a rabbit hole, but do we, cause right now,
There's a lot to
There's-
then be able to pull it out.
right, I assume,
So it's easier and cheaper to put more than it is to pull it out of the beach, says the girl from DEP.
no, I bet,
And so,
I just was thinking that.
although personally, I feel like if I went out with a shovel, nobody's gonna come stop me, but.
I mean,
Don't tell me.
Yeah, I know, somebody
just
might.
gonna build walls.
That was on record.
Right.
It seems like.
I think they're more worried about like
cabins-
excavators and stuff.
It it seems like having the sand going deeper into the lake
Would be worse.
is also an issue,
Concern.
but I guess having the equipment reaching
Yeah,
into the lake, whatever, it's
Yeah.
fine,
but
good.
at some point, it's,
And where are we getting the sand?
the problem needs to be addressed
Yeah,
anyways, because
Yeah.
this is just, and now,
is it 3 times now?
More
It's
than that.
washed out
Way more,
way
in the
more.
last year?
every year.
Okay.
And then like,
That is really-
since, probably in the last, 10 months, like 3 times.
Right.
Is
that's
it
what I was-
because of that culvert that we talked with DOT about?
There's a couple of them there, I think.
Yeah, there's two,
Yeah,
like on the Blanchard side,
right,
and those are all collapsed and filled up. So the water's not being allowed to flow through those, so it's
Right.
going into that bog and then overflowing the road.
and we looked at that with them when we did the walkthrough with the.
I just, I know it was addressed.
Yeah, because they all looked at that and went, yeah, this needs to be fixed.
And I think it got talked about the other night.
It did get talked about the other night, and I've talked with Matt Dross about it before the meeting. So, but I feel like it needs to be addressed with somebody other than just Matt, because he can only do so much, and I feel like that's really not his area of expertise, so I'm just gonna. So there's a couple other for maintenance, so maybe we'll continue this conversation.
Okay.
We sidetracked you.
Yeah, so I think that's everything that's not on the list.
And I looked at the budget year to date.
Yes, let me grab
Are there still things that need to come in or go out for last fiscal
I
year?
don't think so.
Okay.
Did you run that today?
I ran it on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's good. I just did some monthly stuff today.
You did, okay.
That's all money in, money out anyways, it's not really.
Yeah, that would be all G stuff.
One other question I had was the contracts, and just trying to find it. There it is. So Shirley, did they actually pay us for last fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so it says budget 0, but we got 12,600
We did, okay.
because the current month's balance. So it says negative 12,600 because it shows revenue as a negative.
Yeah, I always get
I know.
turned around on that. Okay, there it is, okay. Okay, so this might be, these always here's how it works, at the end of the fiscal year, like we go over on some areas, under on other areas, and then some other revenues come in
Right.
more than expected.
Right. So it
So,
kind of offsets some of it. And where it's shown separately on each one, it's hard to kind of pinpoint it, which is why the auditors is so important.
right,
And I will sit down with them to go over like which ones kind of evened out and which ones are over, which ones are under, just to look at that bottom line number to see if we really went over
right,
or not.
right, right.
And then what went into surplus and what didn't.
Okay,
So
okay, very good. How soon are they now able to do?
I don't know, and I actually reached out to them to see if there was anything else that I needed to do for the 2022, because as far as I know, it should have been ready by now, and he said, nothing else, just sign this letter. So I signed the letter, and I haven't got the draft copy of the 2022 yet, so I'll check in with him too.
All right, very good. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Next is select board reports. Aaron? Anything you have?
Most everything I got is in with all of this stuff we get talked about tonight.
I have the same response to that. The only thing that I just thought of, because I saw Molly and Glenn,
Mhm.
I think we have to vote on the picnic tables and accepting them.
The donation.
The donation of the picnic tables, I
We never
think we
did
said,
that.
go ahead and put them on.
That's right,
It was
thank you.
between meetings, so,
that's right.
I think we have to, I wrote it down under miscellaneous.
Thank you for
Yes,
remembering.
do you want to add that to miscellaneous, or do you want to just vote on it right now?
It doesn't matter.
Because we also have another thing that you have to, accept too.
Oh, okay.
So we can do it now or later.
Let me just look. Did we have it on here?
No,
No.
Okay.
no, I just wrote it under miscellaneous.
Okay. Yeah, and should we include the donation of the painting
Yeah,
as
Yeah.
well? Right? So I will make a motion to graciously accept your donation for the did we do changing station? too?
We did.
we
Okay,
did the change.
and the painting of the Jersey berries. I don't know how to say that.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Oh, I forgot discussion, sorry. No discussion? All right,
No, just thank you.
yes,
Yes.
thank you
Thank you
both.
so much. And then if you guys wanted to, we opened the floating dock bids and collected the money from that. Do you remember?
Peter Marish was the high bidder, he bid, $525, we had another bid for $300. So, did go to Peter Marish, but you guys do just need to officially vote
Sell it to.
to sell it to Peter Marish, for his bid of $525.
So moved.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
And then the only other thing that I didn't think was at some point, and it doesn't have to be tonight, we need to discuss the meeting that we had with Cole Palmer and what
Yes.
our next steps are.
Yes.
And, the reality of it. And from here, it's on us to move.
Kind of.
To move, but I get input in the form of where we can,
So we have one more
Correct.
public meeting.
right.
And then, yeah,
Okay.
so,
At some point, I feel like we should discuss the ongoing, the process and the concerns that,
Yeah.
that we've heard repeatedly and I think fairly.
yeah,
And, just discuss some of the numbers that we, even though they were very loose projections, it really put it kind of into perspective what it would take for a commitment, and we need to discuss the reality of that.
yeah,
I think it's important.
I do too.
So
Yeah.
that was the only other thing that I had for my portion.
Okay, I'm just looking back at my notes here. And you might already have it on here. You did, okay, so I don't have to ask about that yet. That'll go in there. Oh, on May 9th, Glenn had actually brought up about, we were talking about the cemetery committee and that the town website needed to be updated.
Oh,
I just didn't want to lose track of that.
yeah, okay. It may have been, but I haven't checked it.
Okay. And I think, let me just check my other notes here. Got that done. Thanks for putting the decals on the truck.
Thank you. They look okay.
And this probably goes under roads, but I'll mention it now. Roadside mowing?
Yes, that is gonna happen.
Okay,
We are still contracted with Vance Lambert. So it is going to happen. I'm not sure when it's gonna happen. And we are doing some brush cutting too. Did you talk to him when I was on vacation?
I did not. I haven't heard from them at all, actually, which is weird.
Okay, so, we will be doing some brush cutting with him as well.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay.
Okay, committee reports. Somebody want to tell you vacation?
Nothing to do. Right.
Nothing new, just.
All two of us showed up at this week's meeting, so.
Yes, just like weeding, I gotta get those minutes out from the other day, but yeah, we just need help. Any way we can recruit, weeding, watering, et cetera.
Maybe we can post something on Facebook that we're looking for volunteers to help with that.
Yeah.
May help, may not.
Do you have a list of the areas where
The plants are,
that you guys, yeah.
yeah, it's a
That we
good
attempt to take care of.
Yeah, I was just thinking like if we had people actually kind of
area,
adopt
yeah.
We talked about
an
that. In
area.
fact, I thought your family was going to
We
adopt
were.
an area.
Well, my wife was, I remember that. It's funny,
remember it too.
I just wrote that down
Yeah.
to
So
check with her.
That would be ideal, to have somebody to take that, to take the
Yeah.
seeds, to take the gardens down here. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm happy to do things when I can, but
Right, but.
my own garden needs weeding.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, maybe that's something we need to have a formal plan for,
Formal, yeah.
adopt a plot and let people
Yeah, exactly.
step up.
Yeah.
That's a good,
Maybe with some guidelines of what.
Yeah.
Needs to be done.
it's not a lot of
It's-
work, it's just.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Right.
Yeah.
If you know what a weed looks like.
No.
All right, you were excused from weeding, John.
No, I've pulled a few in my day.
Okay, recreation committee, have we heard any from them?
No.
Okay. And I don't know, I'm not gonna forget Glenn here, but festival, it's not a committee, right?
Yeah,
It's just a,
I think it's part of the recreation.
It's part of rec.
yeah,
I was wondering that, it was never
but there's
really clear.
more people involved, I think,
Yes,
Okay.
there are.
in the festival committee.
Certain people step up and do stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, pretty much.
So it sounds like everything is ready for Summerfest.
Yes.
Cemetery committee.
Yes, we met, and one of the things we addressed was the price for lots at the Lake Road Cemetery has been $400. And it didn't matter what size the lot was. So we thought that, and after finding out that on the smaller of the two size lots, you can't bury 4 people in balls. So we thought the best idea was to change the prices to be $400 for a full-size lot, $300 for the smaller lot, and then $200 for a half lot. So you take the large lot, which is 16 feet wide, split it in two, sell that for $200. So we've been working on a protocol or a policy, I guess, for the whole thing. And if you approve those prices, we would put that in the updated policy.
Sounds good.
That's interesting.
I guess we'll wait when you have that and then.
Or I
Or
think
do
you
we
guys
need
have
to
to
approve the
approve the
prices?
prices first and
Prove
then
it,
they can
I
put
see
it
what
in
you're
their
saying,
policy.
okay.
So I would make a motion to approve the price of $400 for the full lot. What was it?
300
for
for
the
small.
small lot and then $200 for half lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Sorry, I was typing and
Multitasking.
shouldn't be doing that, yeah.
Couple of things I'll mention is there are some stones up in the hillside cemetery where the stone was just falling off the base. So we're looking at seeing what it would cost to get those back in place. And we're gonna do a little research about removing the tree up by the the church cemetery that's just outside the gate that is really falling apart and dangerous. And so we'll get back to you what we find out on that.
Is that just the one in the front?
Well, there's one that's really bad, that's already been spitting out branches.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think more than that one will have to be addressed, but we were looking for a way to at least address that one before it comes down.
Okay.
Hurt somebody or
Yeah.
kill somebody even further.
Or if their heads.
Yeah, because when we were up there year before last, and they were doing the repair and cleaning, and we were looking at the trees in the back.
Yeah.
Those are pretty big and
Yeah.
scary too.
Huge. There's one at the very back that's right on the line of, that really needs to come down.
Right,
But it's huge.
yeah.
Steve looked at it and he said, I don't really wanna
Yeah.
tackle that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. On to CEO report.
Yeah, so I gave you what I got for a CEO report, and this is right after I had a conversation with what I was expecting. So there is 2 extra lines that have never been on there before, so
That's all we got?
that's all we got. That's, but I did, because he said everything else that he was working on was turned over to the select board. So I said, can you please go back and find what was turned over to the select board? I said, because that was a town manager ago, and I want to pick up on what needs to be done.
I see, 'cause we gotta have like dates.
Right.
From him when he had, say, first discussion, second discussion, when he contacted the state.
Right.
What was actually said by the state.
There are both sample CEO reports, I believe, Brian could correct me, in MMA in the site there. But I also sent Bill a while back, samples from other towns our size. So it might be easier just to take a template that we want,
And
that fits what we want, and give it to them.
Okay, so did you email that to Bill? Because I can go through.
I was gonna try to find it, yeah.
Okay, because I can look through emails too.
Okay.
And could we get him to possibly come to a few meetings, so if we've got any questions for him, for a meeting?
Sure, I'll invite him.
He was coming for a while and then he stopped. I think, like, I've seen what a report that our prior CEO produced, and there was a lot of information in there.
Yeah.
Every communication,
Pictures.
there were pictures, that it was very, I mean, it was very robust.
Okay.
It was not, I don't know, 40 words on a sheet of paper that
Don't
don't
help us
really
do
give us a
anything.
picture of what's going on as far as, well, did you reach out last week or last month? Or
And even if,
and-
I mean, maybe once a month I can sit down with him and ask him things and try to fill out that template with him.
Right,
Yeah.
but
so I
even
think
like
that
a
would be-
call log of like, call them this date, or like.
Yeah.
It, like, just more of a record of what we're actually doing, because it's hard for us to move forward on anything when we don't
Have any
I
documentation.
mean, when this is the information that we're getting.
Right.
And I mean, I realize that for some things, it doesn't take more than a couple words, but
Right.
for some of the enforcement where we're being asked to step in and take the next step, I mean, we couldn't take any steps based on the information we've been getting.
Brian,
Has he been licensed yet?
Not that I know of.
I was not aware of
No.
that.
I was not
Appointed-
either.
He can be appointed without a license for 2 years.
Okay.
I think the 2 years is, then
Almost up.
It might have been in the spring, it might have been 2 years in the spring. I'm thinking.
I thought it was in the fall, because you were CEO in the fall.
Right, but then come spring, I was
But
like,
of
no more.
20, oh, geez,
So,
that was in 21.
exactly, so it became him like around April-ish or May,
Okay.
something like that, but, so I think.
Okay,
It
that's another thing.
probably was 2 years ago, I'm thinking.
Alright, we'll check with that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to look at that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. Yeah. All right, on to old business. Fire truck update.
I feel like maybe we should skip that one and come back to
Come
it,
back.
because there's supposed to be firefighters here.
Oh, okay. I didn't even hear. Dangerous buildings?
So this kind of ties into tax acquired property too, other than I don't have anything more to, I know what the next step is for 19 Center Street, I just don't know how to proceed without productively, I should say. So I wanna check with Gray on a couple of things to
Okay.
make sure that we do it the right way, because I know what the next step is, but I don't know if there's anything else that we could do or should do. So, and then the other dangerous building is tax acquired property, so we can talk about that one later. So,
Do you think that it's reasonable to think that by August, we would
yeah,
have that information?
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I feel like the longer we let this hang out there with
It's-
no decision being
Right.
made and nothing being done,
Mhm.
the more difficult it then
It's-
becomes
it-
because
yeah.
the decision was made by the select board.
Right, because the next
January.
step is to
or
the
January.
contracted, or, I mean, the
Right.
town contracts with
Right.
somebody to have it torn down, is the next step. I just don't want to hire a contractor and then him like go camp out in the middle of the living room and then,
Right. No, I get all that. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Like, I want to proceed.
cautiously but productively.
Because I'm assuming there would have to be a signed contract written up before whoever gets it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Gym roof repair.
Okay, so I reached out to
Roof systems, okay?
so they don't give, she said, they only give what theirs are.
Right.
And so this is, but I don't know how much work needs to be done, so it's very hard to decipher how much money we're looking at here. So I don't know if it's whether we look into somebody else just giving us like an estimate, so maybe we would know like what ballpark we're talking about, or if they've come and done work before, maybe when they show up, be like, hey, what are we looking at? Are we looking at $5,000?
So they
$10,000?
they won't send anybody up
No.
just to, like, they're just gonna send a couple guys up, say, go fix the roof, we don't know what you're getting into?
Yeah, so, and,
That's good.
Or how much it's gonna.
or to schedule a service, that's what she said to me on the phone. She's like, so the next step would be to schedule a service, and I was like, well, I don't know what the service is gonna be, because I'm not a roofer, I can't tell you what is the problem here. So it's very strange to me. But this came to me when I was on vacation, so then when I called her back, she was like, well, I sent that to you like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, yeah, I know, but, so, I don't know, I was thinking maybe having somebody that, like a carpenter or even Jeff Killam or something, maybe he can just tell me like how much work needs to be done.
We have a new resident down on North Guilford who has a large roofing company.
About JD,
Okay.
far from JD.
Burke's Roof
Burke's,
Mason.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you say, Burke?
Burke.
Burke.
He might be able to look at it and say, wow. you
Yeah.
did a lot. Or
Right, that's all I
Maybe
wanted,
if
and
it's
that's what I
three
explained to
panels
her
or
on the phone,
something,
is that's
like-
what I was looking for. I said, because we can't
'Cause we
just
can't, yeah, we can't.
schedule a service.
That
I
seems
mean-
so strange, they wouldn't even come out to look at it.
And then to send me just the rate sheet, like, that makes no sense to me at all. And she said, unfortunately, we don't give quotes.
Hmm.
And then you're supposed to sign the bottom of this, the rates for service as listed above. And then you're supposed to sign it and be like, okay. I can't imagine that other businesses do business like that.
That
Like
doesn't seem
other,
right to me.
no, it
You need
doesn't,
an estimate.
right.
I mean, how do you, yeah.
Unless you know what needs to be fixed and you can be like, yeah, this can be in a couple hours or something like that. If you can do that, but I can't say that the gym's only gonna take a couple hours and then at 2 men.
Is the service they're talking about coming out and giving you an estimate?
I don't know, because the woman was not very clear as to what she was talking about and she wasn't very forthcoming with information.
I just can't
either.
believe that a roofing company could operate without giving estimates
Estimates?
because nobody's going to hire
No, and they're
roofers that
such a
don't-
major company, and maybe if I call back, I will get somebody else,
Right.
and maybe that other person,
It might be worth
Yeah.
giving them a call again if we've used them in the past. I mean, we wouldn't have done it in the past.
like this, yeah, I know.
know. Or without an
So we
estimate.
have used them in the past?
Yeah,
Yes,
they've
that's-
always done the work on that.
Right,
And I mean, it looks to me as though it just needs to get glued back down,
right,
but there could possibly be some rotted wood there, and maybe
Right.
that's why it peeled up, but.
right. Right, exactly, I'm like, to send somebody out and then,
But
the whole
basically,
underneath
it's a
is-
blank, they're asking for a blank check.
right,
essentially.
fix everything that's broken and
Right.
I'll just give you the money at the end. So,
Ask to talk to Wes Stinson, service manager.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go to the top.
And you pay the management hourly rate and not the labor rate.
right. Yeah, so.
Okay.
So I do plan on following up with this, but I just wanted to give you that I haven't lost track of it. It's just when I got this, I was like, what? And
Yeah, not fair use, for sure.
yeah, not very
Sounds-
useful. at
Sounds
all.
good.
Um,
All right.
so,
Okay, moving on, one of my favorite subjects, the Gully Brook Bridge.
and unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of information for you on the Gully Brook Bridge for this month. I haven't lost track of Gully Brook because how can you? It's one of those things that we just keep running, it's one of those things that we just put off and put off and put off, and now we're at a standstill where we're like, we have to address it among everything else too.
And it's a bigger issue with that whole road.
Yeah.
But I, the sound of the rain last night kept me awake and I couldn't wait to go down to the bottom of the driveway and see if it was still there.
Still there, yeah.
But the culvert beyond our house, like on the, I guess it would be north side, up near Matthews Road, I guess, washed over, overflowed, and then came down the road. And then there's another culvert before the Gully Brook Bridge. I want to call it a culvert, but a bridge. And then it just washed right,
Down the road.
down the road into the Gully Brook.
Yeah.
We just need a helicopter.
Oh,
Instead of
a personal
car.
helicopter?
Yeah. So you can.
Hoverboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A surfboard at this point.
I know, but the whole road, when we talk about roads, it's,
It all goes back to a long-standing problem in this town of routine maintenance on things. The ditching, there should be at least one street every year that has ditching done to it.
Mhm.
After you've done all the streets, by the time you do that, you should be going back to the other one. When you get those to a point where,
You mean like a road plan, like you really know what you're doing?
yes, a capital road plan that you actually initiate and follow through with, not just put it on paper, say, yes, that looks good.
I agree.
And I understand that there is budget constraints with that.
That's why you need a plan.
But if
That's
you
right.
know what you're supposed to be doing, it's easier to plan for that. And it's easier to tell the town what they're looking at for money and what we plan on doing
It
with the
also
money.
isn't such a huge outlay all at once. Like at this point, every street in
Everything.
town, every road in town.
Every
needs
piece of equipment.
ditching. And so, like, now it's a huge problem because it is going to be so expensive to do. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess.
I
we
feel
need
like
to-
road maintenance is gonna take up the majority of our
Right.
topics.
So we can wait
So we'll
on that.
revisit this once we
Revisit
get.
that. I
Okay.
agree.
Speed bump updates is next. So we were originally going to do the speed bumps on Friday, but now we have to bump it to Monday because of everything that happened today. And we're gonna continue our working on all the projects that happened today, tomorrow. So this will push the speed bumps to Monday. But we now officially have all the tools, all the setup, all of the gears that we need. And we are looking at placing one at the bottom of the hill before Willimantic Road.
See, I have a concern about that.
Sure.
I don't understand why we would put one there, and I realize you get into driveways and stuff, but people, it's not like North
Yeah.
Guilford Road has the monopoly on driving too fast.
Right.
Like, and so by putting it there, you're actually creating a problem because the Willimantic Road actually has the yield sign.
Are you talking
And-
on the town side of that intersection?
So it's here instead of, like, this is town. Like I drew myself a diagram.
Right, and that's where I saw it.
And this is where it's going, and it needs to go here.
So there's gonna be another one right there. So what happens is, there's gonna be one by her house.
Near
Right.
my house,
By
and our
your
house
house.
and Ernie's house.
Yes,
Between.
in between your
Yeah.
houses. And what happens is if we move, so then placing it here, that's where the houses start
I
at the
know.
bottom of that
I
hill.
understand.
And then
though.
if we move, they're very wide. So when we move it, there's not a place within 100 there's not a place right there before we're too close to the next speed bump without taking out a driveway.
Did you say there was a requirement of how many feet
Yeah, you have
past an intersection
Intersection.
it has to go? And
Yes.
how much is that?
120 feet
So that's an intersection, so it would
with a
have to
yield,
be,
yeah.
okay.
I just think it's.
And they are movable, so if this doesn't
Right.
work out and
Okay.
this is not a
I
good
just
thing.
think it's a mistake. I think it's a bad placement. I
I
don't
thought
think
that
it
they
solves
both
the
should be
problem.
right within,
I think it solves half of the problem.
Right.
Because, and if we're going to do it, I just think, I understand there are dimensional constraints, but I just don't think this is a smart placement. Like, if this had been my understanding when we voted on it, I would not have supported it because it doesn't make sense here. I realize that there's visibility as you come down that hill because it has to be 200 feet. I saw Steve out measuring it, so I
Right, yeah.
believe that it's 200 feet, but I still think it's pretty blind. You come down that hill and it's right there, and the yield is on, I just think it's a mistake.
The 25-mile-an-hour sign is right
Is
there
right here.
as well.
Right.
And that was, I
Right, that-
agree,
yeah.
I was thinking it would be much better just after.
yeah. And so, and nobody's put it out yet, and we can still readjust or
Maybe
whatever.
we can, measure the actual width and then measure between some driveways
Because
and see if.
That's
there
what I
might be
was-
a possibility.
Looking today, just looking, driving through there, there's Glenn and Molly's driveway on this side,
Uh-huh.
and then there's conveniently right after their driveway is another driveway on this side, so then wherever we put it right there, there's a driveway.
No, I
on each
realized
side.
there were constraints. I thought maybe between Devaney and, I don't know all the people involved.
Slagger, Slagger's right here.
There's two, I know who it used to be, so it was Birds
Right,
and it
and
was.
so- I don't know, and then it's supposed to be 120 feet from the yield
Okay.
sign.
I did
is-
not realize that.
Yeah, so
Um,
but I guess I feel like there might be ways around that particular intersection because not,
What it really boils down to is I don't wanna meet Aaron, I said this in an email, I don't wanna meet Aaron here and he gets ahead of me.
yeah, no, I mean,
Well,
I get
see,
you.
what, and I'm not against that, but my only concern with that placement is not because I live on the Little Manor Road, I come out there every day. But I don't know how many times, and I am fairly good at driving slow.
You do a good job, I can attest to that.
But when you look, you're rolling to that yield sign and you look up the hill and nobody's coming, and you start to get out there and they're coming down the hill at 50 miles an hour.
That's true. Yep.
You've got to go slow coming off that yield sign to go over that speed bump. And then you run the risk of the person coming down the hill not seeing the speed bump or not expecting the speed bump till later on.
Well, the speed bump would be
Okay.
before the
No, right.
Atlantic, so, yeah.
But you're saying if it was not before,
If it was before the Willimantic Road, they would have to,
Right,
It would have to be
that
slowed
was
down by
my
that.
thought
Right.
it
process
should be
behind
slowed
that.
down by that.
I see,
Yeah.
I see, that's.
And it slows them down before that intersection, so people coming from the Willimantic Road don't have to worry about it getting hit by.
That
Okay.
makes sense to me.
Okay.
I still think it's interesting placement.
It
but
is.
That's where it has
I
to
agree.
be. I can live with that.
Let's try it.
And like I said, if it doesn't work this summer, that if our placement is horrible, the worst case scenario, we have to drill new holes. But-
Extra signage coming down the hill, like a.
Yes.
We're gonna have
I'm
to do
thinking
that.
more
Yeah.
signage, bigger
And they need to
signage,
be earlier.
earlier
than they
and
are right
bigger.
now.
That's all we
And
want.
trim the trees around them.
Right,
Yes,
right,
yes.
so I'd
And then-
probably get one.
And then probably
White
if
sign
we
or
have
something
more
rather
of
than
the
Amazon.
orange flags, I think really highlight it
Right, right.
so that we don't catch the, although it might be entertaining, we don't catch the first few people down the hill
Right.
with the new speed bumps.
Well, what was that? There was a Western comedy where they were on a train and they put signs up saying TNT ahead. Then the next sign said, "We're not kidding." And then the next sign said, "Too late." Next sign said, "Goodbye."
Yeah, something like that. We'll have to do that.
That would be a great little thing for Monson, you know? Make a map.
I don't know about the
What?
noise, though.
Not the TNT though.
Just a comment, watching the cars go by, some of them speeding tremendously. I'll have to say, most of the four-wheelers that go down through there are going the speed limit. I'm impressed.
I saw one today that was the exception, but,
Yeah,
but
there are
but you're-
some, but.
Yep.
But by and large, they seem to be.
Yeah.
125,
Well, that's
the
good.
actual speed limit.
Although they probably won't be many ATVs now with the washed out trails. Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Okay, where are we? Ski films, updating of the personnel policy.
Oh.
So,
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but you guys were gonna vote to spend money on speed bumps?
Oh, yes.
thank
Look
you.
at that. I even wrote next to my thing, make sure to vote. I made sure all right.
So the actual exact price is, $9,256.
$1,226. I'll make the motion to, spend $9,226 on two seats for the north, well, doesn't necessarily,
On speed bumps, yeah.
yeah, because we could use them elsewhere. We need,
Second.
any discussion?
We already had-
What's that?
we already had our.
Yeah, we already did.
And just maybe just note that that's from reserve.
From reserve. Okay. All in favor? Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah.
The team effort. All right, personnel policy, this is probably something that we need to,
Have like a work
a
session.
work session to do.
So maybe
right?
just scheduling a work
Yeah,
session.
and MMA had some advisement on their site about other things that we need to include now,
Yeah.
so, okay. So we can schedule a work session for that. We got a lot on our plate right now. Can we do this in like September?
Mhm.
We'll put that in right side. Okay. Security cameras update.
So you guys got the quote in your little packet. This would be for some reason I don't have my first page. Okay. So for 4 cameras at the town office, it would be $4,005.06. I don't know if we were to say to do them right now, I don't know where we would pull that from the budget. But when the safety audit guy was here, he did push the MMA grant and said security cameras is a huge thing that gets approved.
Oh, good.
So he said, and that would be up to $3,000. So if we could, and that's in September 15th is the deadline, and it's a 1-page fill out grant application. So that's something I can do easily, especially now that we already have the quote. So I'm thinking that maybe this is something we should apply for the grant for and wait and see before we jump on anything.
I like that idea. I'm
Okay.
thinking,
Yeah, I don't think we have, the discretionary money right now.
Money
so
just
I think-
lying around.
was that the risk management grant you said?
Yes.
Okay.
No, they didn't say anything about the system they had down. I noticed on here, it says the Monson transfer station is a site location. But
I wasn't here when he came, I was on vacation when he came to do the site visit, it was Marty. But, yeah, so I didn't even know about the transfer station.
I didn't know about that. Is that on there somewhere?
It says, oh, the site
Site
location, yeah.
location.
I'm assuming that if we were just already in their system
That's what
and
I'm thinking, that
that
must be
they
what it
just-
is.
had that as from before, if that camera down there is
Mhm.
something that Seacoast hooked up from, so we were just.
So say if we've got that account and then we end up with this account. Could you combine those into one account?
Yeah,
Because
because
I
I
know
don't-
they've got those different plans that you
Right.
have.
Yeah,
Everything is a one-time payment though.
No, they've
except
got
for
monthly-
the,
Except there's a monthly.
there's a
monthly
monthly
payment.
thing,
Bronze.
if,
gold.
He told me that.
for video support packages.
Hmm.
So,
And you have to have at least the bronze. It says.
that's what it says, yeah, for all,
No, he said it was all a one-time thing, but anyway,
so,
because we don't currently pay anything
for the one down
at the
there.
dump. That's-
So
Then they
I'm
maybe
assuming we
just put a
don't,
camera in that just
right,
feeds directly to
It doesn't
his
say.
shed and doesn't have anything to do with.
Yeah, there's maybe.
but we want
Something about
something that we can have
That you can
storage.
monitor, storage.
So, I don't know, I didn't print out what the gold, bronze, and silver would be, but I guess we can address that when,
Mhm.
if we apply for the grant. and
Yeah, I'm
see that
curious,
in there.
like, if, you
And
know,
I can forward that, I can send you guys that, breakdown
okay.
in an email, easy
Okay.
enough.
I was just curious, like, if there's an emergency situation, and the camera picks up, does it alert somebody? It must alert them.
We did talk about that and it can, yes. And then also, what did he say too? As far as how long the information is stored, I think the most you can have is like a year. And he said that would be like a one-time fee of like $700 and something or something like that.
Actually, I just,
But he did say something too, that there was, there could be login so that people could, you know,
You could check it yourself.
if something was going on and there was a situation, then
Okay.
somebody could check it.
So we can see what you guys are doing all day.
Well, it won't be inside.
You'll feel really
I know,
sorry
I
for us
was-
if you do.
yeah, I was gonna say, you'll hear a lot
Like
of
the cameras
swearing.
you have, they, as soon as it detects motion,
I
it
get
dings
a-
your
an
phone and
alert.
alert, yeah.
Yeah. It's an annoyance sometimes.
Like I say, there you go, Elena, you can have that hooked up every movement you track.
I know, my husband would really be like, wow.
So I was gonna ask you a question. Oh, on the, risk management grant, I guess in October, in August, we just need to vote to give you the
Yeah.
okay to proceed with that.
Yeah. So I'll put together the actual grant application, that way you guys can see it, and then I'll bring it to the August meeting.
Okay. All right, very good, thanks. Anything else on that?
No.
Okay. EV charger, grand opening.
Yeah, we need to do that. But on a upside, we now have received reimbursement for the EV chargers from Efficiency Maine and from the Nature Conservancy. So,
Oh, really?
yes. So that has all been received and receipted.
Great.
Do we know how much money we've made off it so far?
I saw somebody charging the other day,
Did you?
but
Did you?
unfortunately, he was just walking around talking on his phone in the parking lot. And I was like, go spend money in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should
He
have
didn't.
those signs, like a little bulletin board advertising businesses, like, while you're doing this, you
While you're
could.
doing this,
Yeah, like
yeah.
Spring Creek and all, the general store, oh, special today on this at Spring Creek, or special at the
Go to the
general store on
museum.
this.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have an actual dollar figure, but it's like less than,
Yeah.
say, $15.
So it hasn't been that much.
No.
And we talked about, like, is it showing up
So
in,
I went through and tried my very best to put it on Google, and it said, when my place has been updated, I will be notified. I haven't, so like, it made me put in all the information, and then when it has been added, I guess I will receive a notification through my email that Google has approved it or something.
okay.
I did that a while ago, so then I went to redo it to see if I could, maybe I did it wrong or whatever, because I still don't see it on Google, but it wouldn't let me redo it.
But if they update that, like they update like
Anything
maps and
else,
stuff,
Yeah,
it might be a while.
yeah.
I actually looked last night, it is on the Efficiency Maine
I was just
charger
looking,
location.
Yeah.
yeah,
It shows at the gym.
good.
Yeah, so it does show in some places. But maybe it was the Microsoft Bing was the one that doesn't show up, but it does show up on.
Hi.
They don't.
Now, does it show like an actual, not necessarily a street view, but some type of view other than just says at the Monson gym? Just because people driving aren't gonna know where the
Yeah.
Monson is.
Yeah, it like shows it on a map.
But I would say, yeah, it doesn't have a street view, at least I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then, yeah, see, I still don't see
It
it.
has an address and at the Monson gym.
And if I,
So you could always put up a sign just before, EV charger that says at the Monson gym, 500 feet ahead.
Yeah. There's one at the bottom of the driveway, but.
There is.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to be.
Hopefully, hopefully.
Okay. So as far as a grand opening, it's probably too late, I don't know, Summerfest? We could. We weren't able to get it in the flyer, but
Yeah.
Isn't that like next Saturday?
yeah,
That's a week too soon.
it's kind of pushing it.
Yeah.
Any ideas?
When,
Do we have any fall things?
yeah,
We don't have any kind of like a harvest festival.
There might be, there's been talk about that. Has the rec committee done anything about that?
Well, if we do, then
yeah. Or isn't there like something
There
like
is the craft
the
weekend.
craft weekend?
Craft weekend.
If we can get somebody with an electric car to actually come and plug in.
Yeah, you can have something plugged into it during that.
When is craft weekend?
I think it's the first weekend in October, but
That's what I was thinking.
I'm not 100% sure.
Is it on maincraftweek.com?
Yes,
.org?
that would be it,
Okay, October 5th and 6th.
first weekend in October.
Is that the long weekend?
No,
Is that before the long weekend?
that's before the long weekend, I think. Yes, that's before.
Yeah, so how would we recruit, people with EV cars?
Anybody know anybody in town that has one?
I can't envision a grand opening anyways.
We should invite media at least,
Yeah,
right?
so it would be that Saturday, the 5th.
The 5th? If you print a flyer off and I'm in Bangor, I can put flyers on all the Teslas I see.
There you go. Yeah.
I was behind a Tesla truck in Bangor the other day.
Yeah.
What a weird looking.
They are very strange.
They are very strange. When we went on vacation, we went to New Hampshire and I saw quite a few, actually. I was very surprised. I was like, wow. That was the first time I had seen one too.
I think it was just the same one you just get.
That could be, but one was red.
Oh, this was
So they
silver.
come in
Yeah.
colors?
I didn't
Yeah,
realize that.
apparently.
Oh.
This one had like,
They might have wrapped.
they could have, yeah.
I thought they were all that silver.
Silvery, yeah, the other
Silver.
one was, so maybe.
So, but you can, like I
You
saw
can wrap
one,
everything.
I saw one that was wrapped to look like an old ratty vehicle, like with, yeah, so I think you can wrap.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we've
Which one?
done that one, right? Okay.
Yes.
New business, Robinson's liquor petition?
Wait, before we move on to that, do we want to go back to the fire truck update? Since
Yes, I'm so sorry. Old business was, I forgot to move it. High five, guys. All right.
Still in here so we
Yeah.
can have them
Okay.
update us and they don't have to.
Sit through the
Let's
rest
sit
of our
through the
stuff.
rest of the
meeting.
Thank you.
A couple things I'd like to hear, but it's all right. You want me to jump? You want me to?
Yeah, no. I got that, so I got one couple of trucks.
Awesome.
Oh, in color, even
Yeah.
fancy.
That's.
We may run off a couple more copies.
Yeah, that'd probably be nice.
Please make me want to.
And we got a list of several more, so.
Talked to Jeremy again today, and he has like 5 trucks that are sitting there that he can come look at. 2 of them, we just looked at on the computer for some reason, and it's not working right, so I couldn't download everything. All within or under what the first truck that we looked at would be at. And he thinks that's the best way for us to and drive them and say, okay, this is what we want. I would try to get that list printed out for you guys and get it to you.
Yeah.
I tried to use the computer.
What kind of time frame were you guys?
We kind of wanted to
talking
talk to you guys first before I said, hey, are you available this weekend? Because Phil and I both work the same place, so
Right.
if we left, like say we went on a Friday,
Would you guys go? Would it be the two of you?
I would assume it'd be us.
Okay.
If that's not an issue. Leave like Friday morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning, fly out, look at them, and then come back, because there's one that's in Missouri that I looked up last night, we flew from here to there, looked at that truck and then went to Brindley. And that truck is something that we can do through Jeremy.
Okay.
So we're not losing any of our deposit. Is the name of the game.
Yeah.
That 2014 that Marty has pictures of, that one was that's a broken truck.
Yeah. I
And
saw that one today.
that one is something that Jeremy said he could not buy.
That was the one that you guys told me to leave on the table for now.
Yep.
So that's the one on the front sheet there, the 2014 Rosenbauer.
And the guy is very, very hard to deal with, that has that truck.
Okay.
I've been a month waiting for a video on the truck, so.
Did mileage on
The
that? Let's see.
I wanna say the one that's a 2009 is one that's in Missouri.
is in the one that's in
Yeah.
Missouri. Do you know the miles on the 2014 or no?
Yeah, it should say somewhere right on there.
Yeah, I don't see the 2014.
10,800, actually, it's up on my,
Oh.
10,885.
but that's the one that
Jeremy
It's-
can't
Jeremy
purchase-
can't
purchase
broker
that
or
truck.
purchase it, and they have not been easy to deal with.
The
Okay.
guy that
broker-
broker, I mean, like I said, I've been a month
Respond
waiting.
back.
Okay.
I'll call him, text him, and just never
Yeah, it
answer the
doesn't-
phone.
Okay.
Seemed
And that truck's
which is probably why
actually-
it's been.
Actually, at the fire department that's selling it. And
Would you still go look at it?
I don't know,
Or would you cross that one off the
This one's
list?
in what, Pennsylvania?
that one,
The 14
yeah,
goes
14
well.
in Pennsylvania, I think.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I'm just trying to do it without losing any of the town's money.
No, right, no, that makes sense.
I think we just left it on there because when Phil came and talked to you guys, said, don't take it off the table yet, but.
Right,
Yeah, because you were thinking a newer truck,
right,
might actually be more cost effective.
right. I mean, if we were to lose 20,000 to gain
5 years or.
7 years or whatever, it seems to be a financial equation that might make sense under the right circumstances, but if we can't get the information that we need from them, that might not be the best sign. And it might be time to kind of take that one off. You said there are 5 trucks.
5 other trucks.
Are there any that are newer than 2009? Do you know? I'm concerned, I guess my biggest concern, and Chuck, I think from the beginning, it's been my concern, it was my concern, one of my concerns with the other truck is just maximizing the years that we can get out of it. I know when we started the process, we were viewing it with a 10-year life, hopefully, if we can get more than that. So if there's a newer truck, I was just curious. Or are they all in this window of 2009?
They're like 6 through 9,
Okay,
roughly.
Okay.
For the kind of money that we have to do.
right.
I did reach out to another broker where that truck is in, because they do demo trucks. And I'm trying to get a price on a demo truck too, which would be a 2023.
Right, okay.
What's the maximum height that we can go?
10'2" is max
Okay,
at the back of the truck, because the way that the ramp is
Yeah.
out front.
okay. So this 2007 10.5, that might not be the,
That's the back corner of the cab.
okay,
So we're gonna already be pretty much all the way up on the ramp, so we're coming in
Right.
pretty much level into the building.
okay, thank you. And lengthwise,
And this is for the 7.
30,
36.7, what's the max that we,
36, if we can get it in there, because I think Phil already spoke to you guys about the other tanker that Dover has is gonna go to Ballard,
right,
and then 425 that's in here will go downstairs in our bay, and that'll give us a bay, and then we put the boat and the ATV up here.
Okay.
So we'll have room. One of the trucks we're looking at, we just got double check the mutual aid agreement. It only has 22,000 miles on it.
Okay.
Where was that demo truck located?
That one is in Missouri.
Missouri.
That's the one that you said you were gonna go look at.
No.
Potentially.
You have a pitch, you give.
The 2009?
One on here.
Oh, yeah. The 2009.
That's one that they have, and that's one that Jeremy can
Get.
get, and they deal with the the other company itself.
Okay.
But that company that's selling that, they refurbish and build fire trucks, so.
Okay. Gotcha. So are you thinking, obviously sooner?
Soon is one of the trucks that he's, available at the beginning of the next month.
Okay.
So,
Do you have any other questions or thoughts or?
no,
I'd like a little more information on the other ones that, you know, you didn't get a chance, you couldn't print off or anything like
I
that.
couldn't bring it up,
Yeah.
it just wouldn't let me.
I mean, cause I'm definitely, you know, on the same line with him as far as if we can get a newer truck, you know, like, my thought on a demo truck would be, hey, if we can get one of those. But, then again, it's all gonna depend on price and.
Correct, that's what I'm waiting for.
Right.
And is there? Could you raise extra money through by like donations or something like that to put towards on this, or would you have to?
That I don't know the answer to that. I don't see why not, I guess. But
Just if there was like personal donations from a business or a company or something like that,
right,
would you be able to use that money to purchase this where the money has already been voted on?
right. I don't know. I would have to ask.
And I think if we're looking at around that 2010, that gives us 15 years, right? For 30.
For 30, unless, like I said, unless this new NFPA thing passes, then everybody's gonna be buying new trucks. That was the goal, Jonathan, was a 10-year.
Right, I know,
That's why we were looking at that 08.
right. Okay. And these are all in that ballpark, you
Yep.
said?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I'm inclined to think that it does sound like a logical next step to look at the trucks in person. I assume that you guys have criteria that you're gonna use to evaluate them when you're down there?
Yeah, we're gonna run them, pump them, everything, go through all the compartments, go in underneath them.
Yeah.
Everything.
Okay.
This place is huge, I mean,
No, I know.
said whatever bay you want, we'll pull a truck in, you guys, here's the creepers, everything you need, your questions, we'll.
Cause I think that's the important thing to, and it sounds like you guys are going into that process with an open mind. I mean, are you leaning towards any one of these at this
Not
point?
necessarily, I just,
Okay.
like you said, it's just, you're on the computer constantly trying to.
No, right.
Something new pops up, hey, what's this? Wait a couple days, I said, just put a whole list together of trucks that meet roughly what we want.
I like that.
And then we'll just come and we'll decide on the truck. Like I said, I mean, you see pictures online, but actually without driving them and actually getting underneath them and looking at them.
Oh, yeah.
Right, you can't tell.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they can make anything look shiny and nice
Correct,
in a
and I'm
picture.
just, I'm not one to buy something unseen.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Do we, what's the process as far as approving
We just.
travel? I mean, are we,
Last time we just did it.
right,
so.
and I feel like we're at the point where we're starting to push this. I mean, are we still looking at a delivery date that would put this in the fall sometime, or?
hopefully within a month and a half.
Okay, so I know that there's gonna have to be a lot of training on a new truck, and so if we can get that while it's still
Yeah, I don't want.
nice out, so they're
Yeah.
not, we're not asking them to train on a new truck in, like December or January. I mean, do you guys have thoughts on sending
No, I think that's important to do that. You guys know what you're looking for. Like you said, you can actually get in there and see the trucks and condition that they're in. And I feel like you're already ahead of the game by looking at and knowing what your specs are and what we need, as far as the space available as well. And I feel like, yeah, we need to get moving on it.
What if you go down and none of them are, like, do you guys have a contingency plan as far as?
Well, I think our biggest thing is when we go down and operate and check them all over from top to bottom, is to get a feel for the truck and find the best one that suits our needs.
Okay. I mean, that seems like.
It's pretty.
It's certainly smarter than just going down and being like, okay, this is the truck that we're getting, and then getting there and then that truck not working out and we
Correct.
have to start over and then fly again
Right.
and do the whole
I
process.
like.
I like the,
You guys have put a lot of effort into
And the
this.
other thing too is if one truck ends up falling through, we can go to the next.
Sure.
best.
Can you guys keep us updated on after you go? Can you come back and let us know, like, sort of that ranking, what you saw?
Yep.
Just so that we're kept in the loop as
Yeah,
far as.
absolutely.
Cause I know you guys really taken this on. We've put a lot of, you guys have put a lot of effort in because you're the experts on this. And so, and we're trusting you now to go down there and figure out which one's the right fit. And so it sounds like that's where you are. I think that's the next productive step. Do you think it's worthwhile to go to Missouri? Or do you think just going to Brindley Mountain do you need to make the dual?
For what the tickets are, it's like $249.
So it's worth it.
So, I mean,
If it's
that's
a
the
better truck.
that's the best truck for us, and it, you know what I mean? That's just my opinion. I mean,
And
that's.
they even have other trucks.
Correct.
that we haven't looked at yet too,
Okay.
so.
And it's just, you're gonna go today?
We're gonna, if we left Friday, we'd be back Sunday.
Okay, so you're gonna take a couple days.
And like I said,
Gotcha.
the only thing that, and I have no problem paying for it, is our room in Missouri, and Jeremy's taking care of the rest of it in Brindley,
Right.
just like he did before. So.
Is there a way to reimburse, like if they make?
I'm not worried.
Well, you shouldn't be out late.
We got there last time, I was shocked at where. I figured we'd share a room, no? But they were suites, they were full
Right.
kitchens, everything, and I'm like.
well, they get a buddy year up before they.
you're right, yeah.
Get you living the high life and then.
Unless it was like $475 a night.
So can you guys sit with Marty tomorrow and figure out travel? Or
Yeah,
is it Marty or you?
Yeah, that's what they did last time, they
Right.
pretty much just brought me.
Is that something you can do tomorrow?
Maybe.
Or
I want-
next week?
I told Jeremy I'd talk to you guys tonight, and then I said, all right, what week you not gone buying fire trucks?
Right.
That's always there.
Yep.
And I also made sure that you could do it on the weekend.
Yep.
So that Phil and I didn't have to take time off of work to, one day's no big
Yeah,
deal,
right.
but I don't go in the middle of the week. And he's like, yeah, no problem. He said, whatever day is good for you guys, I'll make
Okay.
sure.
I mean, it seems like I don't know if we have to vote on that.
I don't think so.
Okay, because I would say that's the logical next step. I think you guys have clearly put your due diligence in looking at trucks, and I mean, we can try to wait for the perfect situation and really bite ourselves in the butt. This has taken a lot longer than I was hoping that it would, and so, let's move forward.
I agree. All right,
Thank you, guys.
sounds good, thank you, yeah. Thanks for all the effort you're putting in researching this.
I'll let you head up the Robinson petition.
Oh, Robinson's, okay.
And
Did you have the petition?
No.
You don't? Okay. So Robinson's has submitted a petition signed by, some local people. They would like to start selling liquor out of their store. So what needs to happen is, a public hearing. So if somebody's looking to sell liquor, and they're new, there has to be a public hearing. So they do have enough signatures on the petition that, does require the matter to be addressed. So, we would have to set, a date for a public hearing.
They did have enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
So however soon we can do that.
No, sorry.
What's our timeline?
I'm not sure if there's actually a timeline. I'm sure they would probably like to have an answer, so I would say.
Sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
I would say whatever's whatever the guide, if there's some
Yeah.
meetings you have to post 7 days, some are 10, some are.
so pretty much whatever
So
the,
whatever the legal.
is everybody pretty open, for the upcoming days? Because, if it's 10 days, is everybody available?
Are we still thinking of the public hearings on the 25th for the solar and the fire department ordinances?
That you'd have to ask Lena about, I haven't.
Okay.
believe so.
heard of
I
that.
think so.
If we could combine it with that,
Okay, and
Okay,
that's the
yeah,
25th,
it's in 2 weeks.
so if it was a 10-day posting, then
We'd
we'd
have
be
enough
just
time.
there, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
All right, well, we'll see if she's still planning on that.
Seriously. Okay. Well, thanks. Water is the enemy in this town.
Right next to Water Street.
Yeah, right next to Fuller Street.
Elena, we were just talking about the petition for Robinson's liquor and the public hearing. So are we still thinking July 25th in 2 weeks for a public hearing on the draft solar and fire department ordinances?
Yes.
Okay, because we could combine it and,
Or can we not? I guess is the next question. Is there a reason why we can't?
Or have back-to-back hearings, we did that.
right, yeah, I was gonna say back-to-back hearings is probably an option.
What was it on? Back to back is. far as-
Basically, like having one, including it, having another one, including it.
Right, I mean, in this would be
But
back
in
to back to back.
Yeah. So, I will check to make sure that we can do it in collection with another one. But if we can, I'll just include it and I'll email you guys to
okay.
confirm that.
So we'll have to know very soon
Yes.
to be able to meet the posting.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, we'd have to get it done tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, this is I mean, even MMA legal could answer this question too, without having to charge for,
Assuming that there isn't some other guideline that says you have to have
Right.
it posted for like 28 days. or
Right,
something
right,
like that
right.
Before public hearing on a liquor license. I have no
Right,
idea.
right, so I just wanna double check before I'm like, yeah, okay.
Well, can we leave it that if it works, you're gonna let us know. If it doesn't work, the first available
Okay,
date it would be August at that point.
right,
Whatever's legal, just let us know.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
okay.
Like, we don't wanna leave them hanging.
Can I make a suggestion on our next agenda item? Speaking of fire department ordinance, since our folks are back there in the fire department, can we jump to that one first? Do we have it on here?
I don't even, I thought we
had it
yeah,
on
I thought we did too.
When we had fire warden status.
Yeah.
It was on the list, the first one.
It was.
I thought so too, was it? The fire ordinance,
Oh, no, I didn't see
it
that.
was under old business.
It's not on this.
Well, we can have that to miscellaneous too. But we can talk about it.
Yeah, because you sent us that draft.
Right.
Can we just add it quickly to our agenda? I know that's
Yeah,
maybe miscellaneous.
Yeah.
Has Bill been able to see a draft of this at all?
no, actually, he hasn't. I mean, he was there when we decided what was actually going in to the
Right.
ordinance. We didn't really change much, but I can give him a copy.
Do you both have the digital version of it?
Of the fire department
She
ordinance.
emailed it.
I'm sure I did.
6-3.
I looked at it.
It was June 27th.
Oh,
Yes.
I'll print 2 copies to give to Chuck.
Okay.
Phil right now.
I don't know if anybody has any comments on it.
It's very, very basic.
Yeah.
But it's what we wanted.
And if I understand correctly, the operating procedures are really what you guys go on, that you have. This just is the ordinance is the legal device for the, to specify it's a municipal department, what the duties of the chief are, and,
So the rest of all the laws will just follow you guys.
I mean, it's pretty much the state's
Yeah.
exactly.
And I don't know with the, on the wording there with, let's see. So section 4, I don't know if we wanna add EMS into that,
Well, I was thinking of that too. But then,
cause that's kind of more of a primary role nowadays is EMS.
Did you take this from MMA?
yes.
I wonder if they have an official definition then for EMS?
Okay, so under duties, it says the fire department shall be also authorized to provide emergency services by responding to and managing other public safety
Yeah, so that's
emergencies.
that. I didn't get that far down yet.
Okay,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
and medical emergencies.
Medical emergencies, okay.
I was gonna say, I swear to God, I read that somewhere in there, because that was my first thought too when I was reading it, was, EMS should be in here somewhere.
But do you think we should add the rest of that definition section just to make it more clear?
I mean, we could, if you,
I mean, because if you, it doesn't matter to me, I just, because it is down below.
right,
I mean, this seems simple. It's not cumbersome in any way. So
Right.
it's easy
right.
to, you know.
Legally, or municipal firefighters shall have the powers and duties set forth and it states the law. I would assume, I guess I'm asking, that covers EMS as well?
Yeah, I do believe so.
So maybe that's just a way that it's referred to in the law?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it does say it in that, under that, I'm sorry, whatever. It does say, provide emergency services.
Okay. So Bill, did you have any other comments or questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. If you're good, we just need a motion to accept the draft?
Yep.
Okay. I will make a motion to accept the draft fire department ordinance of Monson as written.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? So we can put this for the hearing, public hearing then. Alright, see that. Yeah,
I just had a quick question.
sure.
Like I said, this is entirely up to you guys. Under the fire chief, the permanent to be appointed by the municipal officers, advised by the town manager. Most of these are written that that's all part of it, but that name is turned, that the fire chief is elected by the department and then turn over to the town manager. And then-
Yeah, we talked about that at the meeting, and so basically, that's exactly how that would work. And so that person would, obviously, the town manager is not going to, the fire department doesn't want, and then vice
Correct.
versa.
I'm just
Yeah,
asking, like I said, most of these are written that way.
yeah. And we can have it that way too.
I think, was this mostly from the MMA
Yeah.
site?
And then this particular, so the ad, I think the reason why we went that way is just because obviously the town manager wouldn't hire somebody that the fire department doesn't want, but the town manager would get its recommendation from the fire department.
Correct, yeah, that,
Yeah.
like you said, I'm just
But
trying to clarify things.
It wouldn't hurt, I guess.
I mean, I
So
think to Chuck's,
Well,
what's
yeah.
that?
We're gonna unvote that and revote now that we
Yeah.
changed something.
Well, to Chuck's point, I think that may be our intent.
Right,
But
but the next
we
people
won't be
after
sitting
us,
here
that's
and
true,
This is what you got, this is what
Right.
it is.
that's true.
And so, and I know there have been issues in other towns where a chief has been appointed that was not supported by the fire department, and I can't imagine why you would do that, but,
Good way to,
Could we add in there, appointed by the municipal officers as, supported by, how do we say it,
Or as recommended by the department.
as recommended
so
by
it
the
could be
department?
as advised by the town manager and recommended by. Okay, so
Yeah.
as advised by the town manager and
We do have to
recommended.
unvote that then.
Sorry.
No,
That's
no, I'm glad
okay.
you brought that up.
As recommended by
By the members of the fire department?
or even the officers of the fire department?
I think it's a vote though.
Oh, right, it's the
I think
whole.
they take, right? You guys vote as a department on who you want to be chief,
Mhm.
right?
It's normally what we do is everybody's there, they nominate somebody, gets seconded, and then the department votes, so if there's two guys, then it comes to a written ballot, and that's how we do it normally.
But it's not just the officers.
No,
chief.
it's the whole
Everybody, okay.
department.
That's,
Okay, so I have advised by
50%
the
of the
town.
department has to be there to vote.
okay.
Okay, so advised by the town manager as recommended by the members of the fire department for a term of 3 years.
Sounds good. Okay. So how do we undo this vote then?
Can you just vote on it?
Vote
Just
again. We
revise,
revote, you're right. Motion to revise the draft fire department ordinance to include the new language under section.
Before we do that, didn't we talk about it with Phil about having, and maybe I just skipped over it, but essentially a 30-day,
oh, yeah, like a,
Probation.
probationary period there, thank you. It just, I don't know why that just clicked for me, but it was,
30 day or 6 months?
I can't remember what, but we did discuss that. I don't think I'm crazy.
No, you're
I mean, I
not.
might be crazy, but I think I'm remembering that correctly.
Is it?
I don't remember the time frame, but we did discuss it.
Right.
6 months is better than 30 days. 30 days isn't long.
Well, it does, I mean, you might not have an opportunity to
Really see.
see much. in
But I
30 days.
think that is in the job description.
Right, I was just
Okay.
gonna say that.
That's
And that
what
may be
I
what
think
we
that we
discussed.
talked about.
Yeah,
That may be
Yeah.
what we talked
yeah,
about.
yeah.
I just remember,
We did talk about it and I wrote it on my paper and I remember seeing that, but now I remember that is in the job
so
description.
when the job descriptions are nailed down and created,
Which,
right,
yes,
which is the next step.
right, which I
Okay.
do
I'm
have
fine with
a job description for the fire chief.
Okay.
And I do
I
believe
think that's what we decided
the
to
6 months,
last
yeah,
time.
yeah, okay, cool. See, this is why we needed
Sorry.
Marty here with her minutes taken.
And it makes more sense that that would be in a job
Absolutely.
description than an.
I think this is the exact conversation that's coming back to me now. Sorry.
Better than me.
Anyway,
No,
back to
thank
you.
you, thank you. Okay.
Now that I've completely derailed.
That was an important question, because I forgot about that as well. All right, where was I? Make a motion.
Making a motion.
To accept the draft fire department ordinance
As
with the
revised.
inclusion of the revised language in section 6A, I'm sorry. Did I say that right? Okay. Any seconds?
Second.
Any further discussion?
No,
All in favor?
Wait, no.
You're not allowed to talk no more.
He's gonna beat you at that intersection.
It is, I know.
I'm taking money on it.
All right,
All right, we good on that?
I think so.
All right. On to public works loader.
so we're gonna do the rest of the fire stuff first, or?
Oh, do we,
We have
Surely
share
contract,
contract,
fireworks.
oh, we might as
service.
well, let's group that, okay, sorry.
it's okay.
Did you wanna go in order fire, warden status, or?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. I don't have much of an update because the guy that I was supposed to talk to is on vacation this week. So when I tried to follow up, he said that he would update me when he could, but it's been weeks and, I don't think that anything, actually, I'm 99% sure nothing has happened as of yet. So we're still kind of in limbo.
Okay. When was he supposed to get back from vacation?
Saturday. So hopefully next week he'll call me back, or even stop in, because that's what he did before.
Oh,
Sam stopped in.
Okay.
So he did say that it could take a while.
Yeah.
When I spoke to him before, but what's a while? I don't know. He
Is it
said the
because he
process.
doesn't wanna deal with it, or there's like all kinds of steps that have to be taken?
Well, there is steps that have to be taken if he doesn't voluntarily want to give it up, is basically,
But one of the requirements to be a town fire
no,
warden
supposedly
was-
not. Was the fire chief?
Not fire chief, but you had to be on the fire department, remember that
That's what I-
sheet that Terry
Yeah,
handed
that's what
us?
I thought too, but when I brought that up to Sam, he said no. But, Colin,
In most
in most towns,
In most towns, the town fire warden is appointed by the select board, and then the state gives
right,
them their paper. That
right,
is how most, like in Sangerville, they vote
Yes,
for the town warden,
right,
which normally, in the last 30 years, always been the
fire
fire chief.
chief, yeah,
But
yeah,
they do that every year at their town meeting, they vote for the,
right. So he did tell me if the town is interested in changing the fire warden, then he obviously wants to go with what the town wants to go with.
okay,
It's
so
just
that'd
a
be the
matter-
simpler solution,
Right.
just tell them we want a new one. We're
Right.
voting on a new one.
Right, well, I did say that, but
We can wait till
Yeah.
he follows up with you, but I think,
it needs to happen.
right,
Yeah.
it's just creating an
Mhm.
issue
I
that doesn't need to exist anymore.
I agree. Yeah,
Perfect.
Okay. The Shirley contract update?
So Shirley decided to go back to Greenville with their fire services. Apparently they had a meeting on May 15th to vote on this. I didn't get notification until, I think it was like last week, that they were going with Greenville. It would have been nice to know maybe like May 16th or 17th or 18th or something, but
It doesn't surprise me, but
Well, during or shortly after that meeting, there was quite a little powwow among the selectmen.
Okay.
Some selectmen have left and new people have been on and.
I think they have a lot of power.
Down there. So we're not alone then, is that what you're saying? Yeah. It is what it is, I guess. We'll just go back to doing business as usual, I guess.
Well, and they'll probably approach us next week.
And I
and we
didn't-
can give them another price.
Right, and I didn't put the Shirley contract as revenue in for like a set in stone to take away from taxes. It was more of like a revenue that would just come in. So it won't really change much for us.
I mean, it is what it is, like, it's
Not much we can do
part of the
about it.
fallout, it's unfortunate, because I think that
Well, and their meeting conveniently happened only 2 weeks after we had
there's also a meeting out here where there were multiple Shirley Select Board members in the parking lot with, and so it doesn't surprise me. It is what it is, so.
And I'm assuming that, you guys all have your own thoughts, maybe?
We found out, supposedly the way Terry found out about it was Shirley sent the sheriff's department a letter or an email saying that as of July 1st, Monson no longer covers Shirley,
Yeah,
Greenville Fire. And then they told Sawyer that he had to contact us and tell us that we no longer have a contract. And he said, "Nah, wrong. That's between you and the selectmen."
Yeah.
But that should have been, if that meeting was gonna occur and they were gonna do that, we should have been notified.
Yes,
So
definitely.
we would've gone there and said, what's the deal, did something happen that, you know what I mean?
And that was brought up by a former selectman up there at that meeting that they needed to notify Monson.
It doesn't surprise me, but I'm just saying, it would have been nice to have had a warning, hey,
yeah,
Yeah.
Or was the price too high, which I know it wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Shirley's contract is this year, but I know ours was probably less than
what
what
they're,
it is. So, like I said before, when we became an issue between fire departments, but we resolved that issue, they thought that we went after it and we didn't. We just said, we went up, met with them and talked, and said, what are you guys offering? And left it in the hands of the selectmen and they made the contract and whatever. But at that time, they went to 30,000. And Trevor was like, how can you go from 12,600 to 30,000? When they found that we were getting the contract, they dropped it to 19. So I don't know what their actual contract is, but that's how we found out, because Sheriff's Department turned around and called Terry's son Brian and said, hey, what's up with this? It was the first I've heard of it.
yeah.
But my butt's not hurt.
No.
Well, I had every confidence that you guys could have handled it, but, it is, we'll move forward and
It is what it is.
probably talk with them again down the road sometime.
Sorry. All these norms. Okay.
Yeah.
You have lots of birds.
Yeah. It's always reminders at night. Okay, on to rules of order.
I've
Well,
got to do
actually,
public
Public
work.
Works. So that's the
Yeah,
rest of
skip public.
fire department stuff.
Oh, gosh, sorry.
That's
Thank
okay.
you, guys. It's hard to jump around here. All right, Public Works order.
So in your lovely packet again, I gave a quote from United for some repairs on our loader. That's a pretty hefty expense. This is for brakes and center pins. Yes, Marty?
Yep.
Okay. And Steve has mentioned that the transmission has been doing some funny things and so the loader's definitely gonna need some love here right off. I just don't know,
Or a new home.
or a new home, yeah.
But understandably, we don't have the money available.
Right. So we did get a quote because we had a demo one here.
Yeah.
And so we did get a quote for that demo. And,
Well, no,
no,
United gave us the demo.
okay,
The quote that I got was from Beauregard Equipment.
oh, right.
And so they gave us two quotes. One was for a loader backhoe and one was just for a loader. The loader backhoe, so they're offering to give us 24,000 for ours for trade, which would make the price for the loader backhoe 118. The loader would be like 150. I don't know why that's so much more.
They sent me the specs on
Yeah.
all of these.
They did.
I don't have
Okay,
that. I don't-
that out, and you, cause I don't know what, it means nothing to me. I gave it to Steve so that he could look it over. I was also gonna reach out to United and have them submit a quote, and then also, somebody who sells case machines, just so that we have sort of a few to look at. But anyway, I will go print that off so that you guys can look at it.
The loader that was down here, it was supposed to be a demo or something.
Yeah.
Everybody realizes that won't fit in your garage.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yes.
That's one thing I don't know as we need a loader that size
Yeah.
that we've got now.
Exactly.
Then when I do like the idea, on one hand, the fact of having a backhoe versus a loader. Because with the backhoe, it's much more versatile. If we were just gonna get a loader, I would also like to see something for, some type of excavation.
Yeah, you can't dig with a loader, so.
You can't dig with a loader. And going back to the ditches and the road maintenance, if that's something that Steve could work on rather than having to sub it out all the time, contract it out.
No, that's exactly what I was.
I seem to remember 30 some odd years ago, that was the same discussion when this loader was purchased of whether it should be a backhoe or,
And I mean, back then, they did need a larger loader.
yeah.
I just don't think nowadays with what we have to do with it, that we need something that big.
I don't think that a backhoe loader is gonna do what you're hoping for ditching. I think it's gonna be a little bit limited.
Oh, yes, they definitely are versus an excavator. But there are other tasks around town that he could do with that.
I didn't know, it sounded like he was hoping for it to do everything.
No, I know for a fact, you hop in an excavator, you can do 10 times the amount of ditching a day that you can with a backhoe.
The biggest thing with the backhoe that you guys remember too is that it's gonna be even taller than your loader.
Yeah, that too.
But depending on the size of it.
Is it more difficult to plow with a loader
Yes.
backhoe?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, that real weight there hanging off the back there
Okay.
makes it handle a lot differently than,
And your front bucket's gonna be a lot smaller on a backhoe loader.
Right.
Good.
It's probably why it's cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, that loader was, the cab especially made for that, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
There was
It's
no-
cut down.
cut down almost 18 inches.
It's considerably short. I mean, I smacked my head when I ran it.
And they won't do that anymore.
No.
And Beauregard, just so you guys know, his
A
case.
backhoe
Okay,
big enough to do what you wanna do with it is not gonna fit in there either.
Just won't have the reach to get
Because
over.
they are limited.
and I think Case has the best warranty.
No, and I mean,
No,
no,
not
they
anymore.
changed that.
2 years now instead of 3.
So that's gonna limit
If you
clearly.
Our
anything.
buildings are just
Program.
too small.
yeah, we're gonna need it.
One thing, I'm assuming you're all talking about size. So one thing that, Steve and I did talk about was that, and so these newer ones have, remote start and all of this, and even some kind of Bluetooth, so that there's the potential that he could even start it from his house. I don't understand how that would work, but
That's
But-
his phone.
so that, right, so that being the case, you know, we did talk about the fact that it might be a possibility to put that, you know, like if we were to build some kind of like carport type thing out there, just, and
So it's
back it in there
covered.
so that it doesn't have to go in the garage, just so that it's covered, because the biggest thing about, the biggest problem that he had with leaving this one outside, I mean, we don't wanna leave anything outside, but just, you know, sometimes until we get a different, different situation, we might have to, but the big thing was the fact that it just took so long to warm up, and so if it was cold or snowy or icy, he would have to come down and start it, and there was an hour before he could use it, you know, because it just took that long to warm up. So anyway, just something that was discussed about that, and, so Bob said that, Bob, the guy that gave me the quote, he said that most towns buy the loader backhoe, because, then they can do all their own ditching, and it's kind of like having two machines in one. Steve's thoughts on that was he would prefer maybe just to have, the loader, because, you know, when he's using the machine to say, load the sand shed, plow sidewalks, do things like that, he sort of feels like the backhoe part would more be in the way than anything.
You gotta pay attention to it so you're not taking.
Right, and so I did ask him if that comes off. I think he said yes, it does, and that it's probably not a huge pain in the butt to do that. I don't know anything about that. So his thought on it was that, it would probably spend more time sitting than being used, the backhoe part of it.
Maybe we buy a loader and an excavator.
Sure.
Cause you guys
You spend more on that than you want to do mine.
And I don't understand why the loader backhoe is so much less money than just the loader. I don't get it. Maybe it's something to
'Cause
do with
it's
the loader
smaller.
itself. I don't know.
I don't know.
But given all the ditching that needs to be done, like, and I just think maybe it would be easier to maintain the ditching and not
We were
break
saying,
bang.
you probably missed that comment.
Yeah,
That goes on.
I don't think that the backhoe's gonna do all the ditching that you need to
No.
do. I don't.
why? Because it's,
When you're,
Time wise.
You're limited on
Well,
reach and
reach and
distance.
the only
maneuverability.
way to ditch
yeah,
is with an excavator and at least two trucks.
okay, yeah,
So if you've got a backhoe.
Yeah.
With one operator.
Yeah.
And then he's driving the truck too.
yeah.
It's not economical.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
may
that makes sense.
He has to be right on top of it to load it.
be,
Yeah,
it may be cheaper just to rent. an
That's what I was
excavator
wondering.
From people rental.
right. We did do
Right.
that, and, they did give us a fairly decent rate. I wanna say it was somewhere in the ballpark of like $3,000 for a month, which, you know, in the
Yeah, so
scheme
you're
of things is
right.
pretty good, even though that's a lot of money.
What size machine was that?
I don't remember. It wasn't a super big one, but it wasn't a little, you know what, I feel like it was a mini.
Was that like maybe a 18,000 pound machine?
No, I don't think so, because my husband's, which you're familiar with,
Yeah.
that's 17,
12.
and this one was smaller than his, so I don't know.
But it might be,
Well, and something you've gotta take into account is, like Brian said, you need two dump trucks. You've gotta make sure that that excavator can actually reach up over the side of the traditional.
No, this makes sense. Cause definitely Steve would have preferred just the loader.
Well, I
think,
feel like we would be running into, we also need to buy something else for the sidewalks if we went with a new loader.
right.
And
I mean, we're gonna have a hard enough time finding the funds to do one thing, and it seems like for what Steve does with it, I mean, I see him flying around in the loader all the time. I don't think he's gonna do that with backhoe loader.
Right,
And he's not gonna be able to remove the snow as effectively, and they may say it's easy to remove.
Steve said that.
He did?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I don't know.
I mean, you can
I didn't say easy.
If you remove the
change,
backhoe part of it, you've got something that's useless.
yeah,
Yeah, he
Take it
did
away.
say
It
it would
changes
spend more
the
time
whole-
sitting.
yeah. So
If you buy a load of backhoe, you take the backhoe off in the winter, useless.
That's what I would
Yeah.
assume.
It would be
So-
taking half of the weight
Yeah.
off.
So it's, I mean, it seems like looking in that direction, as tempting as it might be, it doesn't seem as
No, not
practical as
Right,
looking at. I'm wondering though, could we size down the loader if it's a new, like technology's changed, I think, over, like,
Right.
could it be smaller than
a
the
lot
existing?
lesser, yeah, those numbers and everything, they don't mean anything to me.
Okay.
So possibly we could, you know, and like I said, there's also other companies that we can get quotes from.
Right.
There's always the possibility of looking at used, if, you know, if that would make sense.
So,
So there's other,
okay,
so
I'm just thinking in terms of, frame, and so we would spend $22,000 to fix the current loader.
and that's only for
That's only
that.
part of it.
Part of it, exactly,
And I've seen the transmission thing, what happens is that you throw it in reverse and it doesn't go.
yeah.
And then you have to keep playing with it and then it will go, so that's
Right.
probably gonna add, I don't know.
Right, exactly, so that's something if,
And I talked with somebody who does this kind of work for a living, and so I told him that like the center pins have been an issue for a while, and he said, and honestly, like once you get in there, it could be like closer to like $30,000-$40,000 when they realize how much damage has been done because the center pins have been bad first.
And that's the case,
It
I know that
seems
for a
more
fact.
fiscally in our ballpark if we were to trade it in for, instead of
Something.
spend the money or
Right.
more money
Mhm.
trying to fix it.
Well, United is familiar with it, they're the ones that send us parts and, you know, all of that. So they should be able to get us a, you know, a quote and tell us what they would give us for it.
Right.
And
I
then,
mean, I think we need to explore it.
And
Yeah.
other options
Yeah, this is
too.
just the
Before we
beginning.
put,
We basically
Before
just
we-
wanted to open the conversation,
Yeah.
open the
Yeah.
door,
Yeah.
let people know what's going on.
And I would go by what Steve and I'm hearing you say about, you know, I'm not gonna second guess, you know,
Right.
what machine we need. You know, those who use it and know what they need it for,
Right.
I have to trust.
John Deere used to have a program where you lease it from them, then at the end of the lease, you buy it for $1.
Yeah, I don't think they do that anymore.
They don't do it
I
anymore.
don't believe so.
That
Well,
would
we
be
can
nice.
always check, like, well, and maybe even checking into what leasing would be in
I
general.
was, yeah,
right,
Good,
and I didn't talk to Bogart Equipment at all about any kind of financing that they might offer.
it
or-
might be something where it's easier to swallow in the short term, at least while we figure out how to
what to
afford
do.
to buy. Because I don't see putting, I mean, this estimate is for 20. I've
And for
heard
two
talk that
things.
it's gonna be, right, that it's gonna be at least that much for the other stuff that needs to be done. And I don't, I mean, it's a 40-year-old machine
Right.
out there, and
That's a lot of money to start with.
I wonder if you couldn't take the same amount of money you would estimate to spend on repairs and buy a used one in better shape.
Right.
yeah, that's true.
I mean,
Yeah, we can,
and if a dealership would take in your trade towards a used machine, I mean,
Right.
that might even be better.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So I think we need to
So-
explore it.
Yeah.
I think that,
So by the next meeting, I will have some more information and some more quotes, new and used,
Sounds good.
and go from there.
yeah, and maybe, if you need input, it sounds like we've got some people in the room.
Yeah,
Justin, Brian,
Sure.
Chuck and Phil both work with equipment. I think it might, I think too often we, act like we, in the past, I know it's come up where it's like, well, why did that get done that way? If they just asked. And so I think it's important to reach out
Ask
to
people that
people that
do this every day.
The biggest thing when you talk to them is make sure that whatever you get the price on will fit in a 10-foot door.
Right.
or,
unless you're gonna do the thing outside, but I'm just saying to go downstairs, it's gotta fit in a 10-foot door.
Yeah, the reason that 30-year-old machine is still
Right.
going is because it spent most of its
Life inside.
time in the garage. It, you know, didn't stay outdoors. Except
Yeah.
when we were sanding, I had to leave it out.
It's on Elliotsville Road right now.
Is it?
Yeah. All right,
Hopefully, because they left it there.
to continue.
Yes.
Right.
Not because.
Right, not because it wouldn't work, right? Okay, very good. What are we down to?
Tax acquired properties.
Okay, so what I'm, the paper copy of our agenda and the digital one is different. That's why I'm a little out of order here. So the digital. Yeah,
Because my
Yeah.
next thing says rules of order.
right.
Too.
What
Right.
the heck?
So let's go by the paper one. We all have
Rules of order.
So this is needs to be updated, voted on each year by the new select board. And I'm thinking, and this was a draft from last year. It wasn't last year's because there's second page, things were crossed out. But
Okay.
But anyway, so I have a question for Aaron and Jonathan. Years ago, we used to meet twice a month and we have a lot on our plate for a while. I don't know if we want to go back to twice a month or just leave it as once a month and have special meetings as we need.
I'm fine
To
with that.
address,
I mean,
okay.
We'll probably have more than 2 every month anyway, so.
Yeah, rather than commit to 2 a month in this.
I mean, I can go either way. I think if we were doing 2 and the agenda was half as long, that would appeal, but it also,
I know,
to sit here and get it done
whichever way,
in however many hours it takes.
you know,
It's
and
fine,
then
too,
that
so.
means,
Personally, prefer the once a month,
yeah,
only because I would much rather just have one late night, really
Yeah.
late night than, because either way, late night.
I mean, because we're
so.
gonna have 2 or 3 anyway.
Right, we're going to, and we're not limited to just one.
thank you both.
Thank you
I
both.
just have one thing to add, and I talked to Jay the other day. We need to do something so we have a phone next door.
Okay,
So it was working and now it's not.
One night I come in, pick up the phone, it didn't work.
I don't know.
2 days later, the phone worked perfect, hasn't worked since.
Because Tim brought it over here one day. Did you take the batteries out and put them back and try replacing the batteries?
okay.
Okay, because when Tim brought it over, that's what he did, and then it started working, so that was that. And we said,
Just
okay.
stand on your head.
It sounded with a cell phone trying to talk out there.
Okay,
Alright,
I will
thank you.
address it, thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, and I think once, it looks like we have, so much work ahead of us, but I think we can get on top of it and, in a few months, have a more reasonable evening.
You keep thinking.
I'm
No, just kidding.
always optimistic, so, okay, so we'll leave it at that. And then on the second page, under item 3, board meeting agenda, I was wondering if we could insert just after a call to order, something like adjustment of agenda, like I did
Yeah.
today.
Just,
I don't know what's the official term for that? And then lower down on that page under 4 on voting, this was where the draft came in from
Okay,
last year. So just take out that crossed
All
out
right.
stuff and then un-italicize.
you wouldn't even believe the hoops I had to jump through just to find this draft.
Oh, you should email me, because
Well, I was going to, but then I just, at the end of the day, I went through the agenda to see, all right, what am I missing? And then I saw rules of order, so I'm like, oh, that'll be easy enough, I can quick print that out. No.
No.
And so then I went back through all of Bill's emails and found an email from you that had it in there, and so I was like, oh, sweet.
I could, yeah. All right, so the last page, this is probably the biggest change. I was doing my homework and I was reading MMA legal advice. And they caution select boards about limiting the public comment in terms of, well, I'll tell you what we need to cross out because it's reference to freedom of speech.
Yeah.
So in the first bullet, where comments should be civil and courteous, the first bullet says profanity, disorderly language, and gestures at meetings are prohibited. We should cross out disorderly language. Because what is that, first of all, right?
Right.
Okay.
On the second bullet, the whole first sentence should go. So then it should just read, any concern about a town employee, official, or volunteers to be addressed outside of a public meeting and in private with town manager.
Okay.
And then the third bullet, cross out rude and intoxicated.
Because how do you know?
Right. So disruptive or threatening stays.
Okay, so back up just a little bit. What did you say about the second one?
The second bullet,
Yeah.
the first sentence should be crossed out.
No comment.
We'll be able to comment, yeah, that defames, embarrasses. Because again, you know, it's pretty nebulous.
But leave any concern about the.
Correct. I think what what they're getting at is the things that are definite, observable, defined, and not subjective.
Right.
So that, we can't squelch freedom of speech. And then just item 6, on italicizing.
Yeah.
That part. And that's all I had. All I had. So you want, make those changes and bring it back to us next month?
Sure.
Okay. All right, that was a quick one, sort of.
Love that.
Letter of support for Elliottsville ATV Club and also their contract, right?
Yeah, I kind of blew that. The guy came in and I made a copy for him, but I forgot to have him sign it. So we just need to reach back out and have him come back.
That would have been
It
for
was,
the other one though. Right.
Abbott?
Yeah, that would have been Abbott.
okay, sorry.
So this is for Elliottsville.
Okay.
And I don't have a copy of their contract.
They never had a contract.
Oh, right.
Right, so we
Okay.
were gonna take the one that Abbott, we use for Abbott.
Okay, so I don't have that.
Did they get their DOT thing
No.
straightened out? Is that, because it was
No,
not what we
we're
were
But I
waiting
do
for?
have-
we're gonna approve the letter for them to turn in with their paperwork.
Oh,
get DOT
gotcha,
approval.
okay,
All right.
okay.
So Aaron had a draft that he emailed.
Yes, I have it
Okay,
on
okay.
town letterhead.
Letterhead.
Yes. Signatures at the bottom,
Okay,
just in case you guys wanted to.
sounds good.
And then you guys could vote, I guess, to do that contract, and I'll just copy the AT, that contract, I can just type it up.
Think there was
Because
anything specific?
They gave it to me, so I don't have a copy of that contract, like,
Digitally.
but I'll type it up.
Okay.
It's only 2 pages. I
Oh,
can
okay.
handle it. But this is the letter.
Okay. You wanna sign it? So I'll make a motion to, how do I say it, accept the letter of support for the Elliottsville ATV Club and the contract
That's
for them. Does that make sense? Any second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? We're getting tired.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, text card copies is on this one twice. I must have a different version of this.
So do you know how that works where like, once the state DOT approves their use of Route 15, the DOT is the one that puts out all the signs on the Elliotsville Road and the main road. So this, in the state's eyes, they're authorized to do that. Can the town still shut them down?
If it's the town road that gets unapproved, then they wouldn't have access.
Right.
But then wouldn't we have to go to the state and tell the state their contract is canceled? Or,
Probably should.
Probably
measure.
should, yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Hopefully that doesn't happen, yeah. So that's what was on here, it's taxpayer purposes on here.
Who is, do you know who the Elliotsville, head is, president of the club? Is it Kern Roberts?
no, I don't think. So Billy, I don't know if I have that number from Billy,
Bill Baker.
he was the one that's kind of been working with them down there to get all this stuff going.
I know, it was the year before last, we had like a open meeting to discuss ATVs, and I thought it was Kern Roberts that came.
It could have been. But I was thinking there was another name that he'd
Yeah,
emailed
could
me.
be. All right. Where are we? Which agenda am I looking at? Okay, tax acquired properties?
Okay, so, in a perfect world, I would have had a list for you guys to have of, what we currently have for tax acquired properties, because we do have a handful, but, I did some homework on what the process looks like now for us. So basically, in order for us to sell a property, so I guess I'll back up a little bit. I did some homework as to what kind of policy or ordinance or whatever we would need to do, but the warrant article that we have in our town report, I guess, our town meeting, is very generic, so it actually doesn't, it does cover us, because it's not telling us how to
Right.
sell the property. It's just basically giving you guys permission to.
Right.
So that's good. So the next thing would be, a pre-sale notice, which is at least 90 days prior to listing a property for sale. The municipal officers must, or myself, must send a written notice to the last known address of the former owner, certified mail and all of that stuff, at least 90 days prior to putting it up for sale. And it has to be a special notice that the Maine Revenue Services makes and whatever.
Okay.
And then the property must be listed with a real estate broker or agent at the highest reasonable price at which the property is anticipated to sell. And that broker can't hold an elected or appointed office, blah, blah, blah. And, the municipality must allow at least 12 months after the listing for the property to sell. So we can't do a sealed bid or a auction, so to speak, until it's been listed for 1 full year.
Right.
Or a real estate agent, you've been denied at least 3 times by 3 different real estate agents to list the property. And you have to have the real estate's, like, denying, I guess, refusal, that's the word,
Okay.
of being able to list it in writing. And then that's basically the start of it. And then, it would be by quitclaim deed, which is referenced also in our town warrant, that it would be by quitclaim deed. And then, the return of funds, regardless of the sale method, any excess sale proceeds that exist must be paid to the prior owner. Now, you can sell, this only is if you plan to sell the property to a third party. So if you plan to sell it back to the original owner, none of this applies. They just have to pay the back taxes and costs associated. So this is only for a third party. And then, if you can't find the owner, you have to put it in the paper for 3 weeks of the person, the name, the property, how much money they're getting, all of that for 3 consecutive weeks. And then if you still can't locate it, you have to send the money to the treasurer of the state and it becomes unclaimed property.
Wow.
So very detailed, very detailed. And then you have to register the fact that you did all that with the registry of deeds. So tax acquired property just became a lot of work for me and Marty, but that's okay. We'll.
So if we, whatever the municipality spends on, whether it's demolition or other things needed to that property, we can recoup from the sale.
Yes.
We just can't make money on the sale.
Right, so any cost, and every cost needs to be documented, which we're in a misstep, so we document everything anyways, like all, but even mailings, those can be added on to what, because I mean, it costs $10 just to send a certified letter now. So, anything that costs us and like the realtor fees and anything like our lawyer fees, anything like that can be taken from the sales proceeds. It just needs to be documented as such.
Okay. Do we need a policy ordinance for
No,
this?
because
Because Dexter did that, and that's.
so they're a charter town, so they're a little bit different than us. And so, and they have accounting and what we have. So, the only thing that is recommended, and this is even do next year at town meeting, is just this is in the warrant article that gives you guys permission to specifically, instead of just giving you guys permission, also giving you permission to give the funds back to the previous owner. All that does is basically says that you guys are going to follow the law. So nothing that we really have to do immediately, just something to keep in mind for next year instead of just putting that one article.
Okay. And that's like an MMA advisement?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And they gave a list of a couple of different, and in this, it said not all municipalities need to adopt an ordinance or a policy. We just can't have one that's contradicting what the law says.
When does the new law take effect? Is it
August 9th.
9th?
Quick.
Yes.
Yeah, really? All right. So,
Question.
yeah,
How many tax acquired properties do we have, you know? Just curious.
There's
I'm gonna say
Four or
like 4 or 5, yeah.
we were close. We both said the same
I
thing,
guess
so it
it's
must
official,
be.
4 or 5, one or the other.
Yeah. And like I said, in a perfect world, if it didn't rain a bajillion inches today, I would have had a nice list printed out, but
okay.
that's it for right now. I just basically wanted to make sure that we know how to move forward
Okay.
with the tax acquired properties.
So here's a question.
Sure.
If
I have an answer.
someone wanted to purchase one of those properties before August 9th,
Then we wouldn't have to, we could still do the seal bid, but we still have to give the proceeds back to the former owner.
Okay.
Because 2023 law made that happen.
okay. But we wouldn't have to go through Realtor.
Right, but at the same time, August 9th is not very far away, and to publish something in the paper for that,
True.
because it has to be published in the
We
paper.
have to find that owner.
And you have to notify the intent to sell, you have to notify the owner of an intent to sell
Right.
too, so.
Okay. All right. Just had to ask.
I know,
Not that I was gonna buy anything.
I know, but now we're definitely not.
All right, very good. Thank you, Elena.
Sure thing.
Grants update?
I had a couple, the MMA grant, we already talked about a little bit. I had a piece of paper that had some other stuff on it. Oh, and then the reimbursement of the EV charger was part of an update over here, right in front of me. Oh, okay, so the FEMA grant. So I've been working, having like every 2 weeks, a meeting with the FEMA lady. And she is working towards getting us approved for, so they consider the shale that we put on Bell Falls and Pleasant Street during the December 18th storm as a temporary fix. So they would actually give us money, if approved, they would give us money to do the permanent fix, which Arvo, I had quote for resurfacing on the Pleasant Street and Barrows Falls, or whatever the GPS coordinates were for those two areas. And it was like 42,000. So if approved, this would be like $42,000 worth of work on the Pleasant Street and Barrows Falls Road that would be FEMA money. Reimbursed, yeah.
Awesome.
So,
Wow. When would you know on that?
I don't know. We had a meeting this morning and that's when she basically told me that part. And, well, we went over that at our last meeting, but at this meeting, she was like, is this work, has this work been completed or whatever? Because sometimes, so this actually wouldn't be reimbursed, it would be funded. So they might need a site inspector to come and look, and then at the end, have another site inspection. Now and that also applies to the side of the Elliottsville Road where it washed out, it would pay for repaving of that, portion of the Elliottsville Road. And since it's worse now, but, so that's, some kind of good news there.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all I have for that
For the
particular.
grants. Okay. Yeah.
I had a question.
Sure.
You said you got an estimate for resurfacing of that?
Yeah,
Who gave you an estimate?
Arvo did.
Arvo.
Yeah, and I just basically wanted a ballpark number of what it would cost for
Right, because you gotta get something to the.
Right.
Yep.
And that is like including like rolling it and all of that stuff too. Compacting.
Yeah,
Now, I'm sorry, did
No, that's
that include the paving on the Elliottsville one?
No, I would have to go through somebody else for paving. Which I think there was an estimate for paving on the Elliottsville Road already done, but I think that was for the previous washout that happened in July of last year.
Mm.
So we double it?
At least.
Can they throw in the Gully Brook Bridge?
Yeah,
with that
I mean,
one?
might as well at this point. And then if they wanna hit North Guilford Road on the way out of town, that would be cool too.
All right, thank you for that.
Sure.
Shall we tackle road maintenance repairs next?
Might as well, that's gonna be a doozy. There's a lot. And I don't even know where to start because there's things that are like, things that we have to do, and then there's things that we should do, and then there's things that we are doing because the road washed out. So I guess we'll
We
start,
don't even know about it yet.
yeah, and it's still raining outside right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're just gonna ignore that.
We'll skip it till next time.
Okay, so, let's start with things that have happened today. So the side of the Elliottsville Road, which Sue is well aware of, Justin and Steve spent the majority of the day out there, doing what they can. And I think, do you plan on finishing tomorrow, or he may be finishing?
My portion of it is
It's
finished.
not, okay.
He may be
Arvo
doing a
and
little
Steve
more.
will be on the Guilford.
On the North Guilford. Okay. So then Arvo and Steve on the North Guilford Road, by Turning Page Farm, the culvert bridge thing right there.
Yes, where there were cones before.
Yeah, that's completely washed up to the slate on top of that they placed on top of the culvert is now showing. There's no pavement over that or dirt on the sides. I don't know if any of you have been out there today, but
It's a nice one.
No, but I heard from multiple.
yeah, I just have a quick picture just so that you can get a visual of what.
I mean, it's been a concern.
So while you're doing that, I know it's too soon, but, you know, is the county, I mean, I'm just wondering,
The FEMA lady was here during all of this and she's
Yeah.
like, well, you can always hope.
Yeah, we just don't know yet, because it's gonna depend on how much damage is throughout
for
the
the,
county.
for the county, right?
Yeah.
So that, I don't know, I don't know how long it takes them to determine that, but.
Oh my gosh.
Say, I was surprised there wasn't much that I come across today, like north of here, like Greenville there.
Is that just is there a simple prevention?
Well, Arvo and Steve are going to do what they can as a temporary fix for now, starting tomorrow. I have no idea what that it's even going to cost, but that's unsafe.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, there's, I mean, you could put it past your own risk center, that covers that.
Right, and I mean, even me, like, we were stopped there so I could take pictures on the North Guilford Road, and somebody almost smashed into the back of her car while I'm
It was
standing
so
there.
scary.
It was scary, and it's like, tonight when it's raining and it's dark and there are people
Oh,
driving
yeah,
really fast down that road, that makes me extremely nervous.
What was
Put a
the,
road closed
Right,
sign and just detour them.
through, yeah,
by Aaron's house?
right. Yeah.
Wilmington to see
I can
that.
scream at
Well-
them for going too fast, throw stuff at them.
Well, we have the speed bump in there.
I almost rolled the window down and flipped off the person, like, because they were flying, and so I'm pulled over, you can't really pull off the road, and it wasn't right there, it was somewhere else, right around the corner. So she's taking pictures, there was two vehicles coming this way, so by the time this red car comes flying around the corner, like flying, and just flew right up to the back of my car, it stopped, like this far away from my car, because they had to, because there was traffic coming the other way, and I, honest to God, was just braced for impact, because I did not think that they were gonna stop.
Like
at
there
all.
was slate on the road from being washed into the road, and I could hear their tires go
Wow.
on the
Ugh.
slate, and I turned around to see if they were gonna hit Marty because it was that close, and I was like, oh my
Was
gosh.
there any damage, like I had several calls that said there was an issue up by Ray Knowlton.
Mhm.
like
I don't
on
know
that
where Ray
corner.
Yeah.
He's the garage, he's
It's-
just up
Yes.
from turning page.
Yes, so the majority of that is driveway
It's driveway that washed into the
that
road,
washed into
correct?
the road, yes,
Then-
and the edge of the road.
I heard that down closer to Phil, where
There's, yes.
that there was some damage down there.
Yep.
as well.
There is.
Is that just something you haven't got?
Yeah, I have, yeah, that,
Okay.
I have,
I mean, we can
so-
take them one at a time.
yeah.
I was just
So
thinking that as.
That's one portion, so that's actually down the road
Okay.
by, Phil's house.
Okay.
And so then, okay, so Ellisville, the beach, obviously,
Mm.
the poor beach,
The beach is,
gone.
I mean, it's sitting.
The
where
picnic
the
table's
dogs-
sitting on two legs.
Oh,
Did,
Have you had a chance to see
No, I
it?
haven't
I
been
got
there.
pictures of that too.
I didn't want to drive around too much.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
obviously, the beach is closed,
Mm,
or not, people just,
not really.
okay.
The water's still there.
The water's still there, just-
It's hot. There's a small section of
No,
grass,
there
and a
is.
small section of
Yeah.
sand, and so,
You just have to step over the canyon.
yeah, exactly.
So here's like one picture of the beach.
Oh my goodness. Have you been down there?
I was
Porta
clear
potty's
this
fine.
morning.
What's that?
down
Porta
towards-
potty's fine.
It's-
Yeah.
It's in a good high spot.
Yeah.
So obviously, we're putting Band-Aids on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
My thought on maybe
Yeah.
a temporary solution, because we're not gonna get the state to get those culverts repaired anytime soon, was generally, the erosion starts to happen more towards the Blanchard side. I mean, it's that same trough every single time. My thought was, and I don't know what the DEP would say, that we probably have to talk to them, about having almost, you know, wide as this table maybe, with stone, or something like that. Just, and obviously those concrete barriers would act kind of as, if you put them together,
Right.
act more as, you know, a water diversion, so anything that does come beyond that gets diverted that way
Right.
and goes down through that stone rather than washing the sand out every time.
Yeah.
So like on the edge of the beach.
Yeah, it's kind of like right at the edge of where that last barrier is
Mhm.
and more towards the culverts.
So it would wash into the.
Into that French drain, that stone,
Right.
and go into the lake rather than just running over the top of the sand and carrying it with it.
Right. And huge rocks. Like I don't even know how Marty and I were talking about it. We would love to see it when it's happening because the amount of force that that water must have
It's
to carry
crazy.
some of those rocks that have washed onto.
Yeah, once you liquefy sand, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like
But even the lawn
butter on
part,
frying
even the
pan.
lawn has a trench, like
Yeah,
through
the
the
lawn.
grass, and it's deep.
Yeah.
Would
It's crazy.
those rocks in that hold, were the rush of water coming through the drain area?
it would definitely hold up a lot better than sand. You know, I'm not an expert on, you know, diverting water. Justin, you may have an idea on this, you know, people.
It depends on the size of the rock and the amount of water flowing,
Yeah.
and how fast it's flowing.
Well, and that's just it, is like,
It's going to keep happening
It's-
until
it's
it gets
addressed.
corrected.
Because we can't legally cut that road up and put culverts in ourselves, correct?
Well, I'm about to. It's a state aid road, so like that means it's partially ours, right?
It
They
is.
reimburse us for some plowing.
Well, they can reimburse us for some culverts too. No, that would be something that they would be even interested in doing if it's just not something that they can get to. Maybe we can contract it out and they can reimburse us.
Well, I'm,
That'll just give the state an excuse.
Right.
we could pit what agency, state agency, so DP, tell them
Yeah,
beach roading is an environmental situation.
yeah.
DOT
Has to
has
do
this,
something.
yeah, needs to do something, so.
Okay, that's an idea.
Then we
plan.
can charge admission, maybe.
I mean, it's worth a try.
Yeah.
I mean,
Get
anything
the
at this
right
point.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Utilize the term environmental disaster.
Yep, they love
I
that.
mean, the amount
these days.
of sand, I think,
That's in the lake
like
now?
you could, the whole like lake has changed at the beach today. Like it's really shallow out quite a ways because all that sand gets that far.
And if you look at what's missing, it's a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's all right there.
Anything about
Didn't
the
go
impact on the environmental, the
Wait,
ecology
It's
of
probably
the
hurting
lake.
trout, and
Yeah,
there's a
Yeah.
lot of money out there to
Yeah.
save trout. So,
Casuals, frogs,
Yeah.
all of it.
Lots of stuff.
no,
No, I think there's other avenues that we just need to look into and tap into because obviously just waiting for DOT to fix it
I
is
know.
not gonna work.
Art, I know you have a lot on your plate, can you move that kind of
Yeah.
high?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, the beach has my heart, so I'm gonna do everything I can. to
it's just
protect it.
it's unfortunate because I feel like it's been used more consistently this
Yes,
summer.
very
and-
busy.
You put all this
And-
beautiful stuff into it.
Right.
Molly and Clint have
Yeah.
done a lot
And it's,
to foster that, and then now it's,
lots of towns don't have a nice beach area
Right.
for their residents to use, and I think
Right.
that we're very fortunate to have that, and I think that we need to protect it.
If you chipped away a little bit at that culvert, it'd probably get washed right into the lake, culvert and all next storm.
That's true, loosen her up a little bit.
So, that's just, okay, and then I guess I'll just note some of the other damages that happened today. The Moose Horn Road, I guess would be the next one that thankfully, there's not very many residents that live out there, and the ones that do are really great. And he said, you know, it's passable, get to it when you get to it, because I understand that you
But
guys,
get to
but get to it. Right, because it's like right at the end of his driveway, coming down the hill, it washed out down the hill. So we'll need gravel and stuff over there, and then, the Burke Road, which again, not a lot of one resident, but we do contract with him to maintain that road in the summertime, so I'm not sure if he'll ask for some gravel or something. He has equipment, so he'll probably just smooth it out himself, I'm not sure. I did take my car all the way up there today just to make sure he can bring his campers down, but other than that, we'll
There's
revisit
been
that.
talk in the past about discontinuing.
It was tried to be discontinued.
I'm not advocating for that. I was just wondering where
It
that
was
stands.
brought to
That's-
town meeting in 2011.
That I don't know about, but I know that it's been discussed during my time here as well, but it's not easy and it's for
Okay.
whatever reason extremely expensive.
Okay,
Yeah, and
I'm
then-
not advocating for it.
and
I just know
then
it's been discussed
I
at
think
meetings
when
I've
it was
been
put
at.
out to the landowners didn't want it discontinued, so then there was fight back, and then there was,
Okay,
so
What,
I have looked into it.
what kind of equipment does he have that?
I know he has a
Oh,
grader,
You can get graders,
excavator,
excavators,
Yeah.
trucks.
Okay.
he's got everything.
I know there was a situation when Bill was here with the other neighbor there.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't.
And there,
know how
that situation,
Quiet for a long time,
yeah,
knock on wood.
and that was the same
Wait till tomorrow morning.
situation that a few years ago, I went out with DOT just to make sure that he was operating within his limits, and he
Right.
was,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
I guess,
That's about it. A little bit on
uh,
Homer Hill.
Yeah.
But not, that road is very passable.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay. Was it washing down into the Maine?
It was kind of at the bottom of the hill where that brown house is.
Yeah.
It,
Like
it
kinda
comes down,
towards
goes
the
around, and it's along the edge, kind of right in front, right where the driveway is to that house.
I've been up on Homer Hill and runs out of Randy Vinio's driveway. It goes out to the slate chips. It ran out of there and then there's not much of a ditch there anymore. That's what washed it out. And I've seen that happen in a lot of places in this town. They'll run out of someone's driveway.
Yeah.
Like the old Valone place down here.
Mhm.
And wipe the road out and everything. It seems to me that the town could have them fix their own driveway so that it didn't do that. And that one place on the Elliotsville Road, it's the same way.
I was just
It
gonna say
runs
that.
out of Hooper, I think is.
Yeah, there's actually, when I was coming up here, there were two places on the right side coming up the road, where it was coming, and there were, if I remember right, one is a new construction area, and I forget the other one, but it was coming out, it was on the road when I came up here, it was flowing over the road. But I agree, when you look at the driveways, there's a way to ditch that, so it's going not in the road, into the culvert.
I mean, they also can put in cross culverts so that it switches it.
And one thing I think that has contributed to the issues on the Elliotsville Road a bit is that subdivision that's just outside of town on 15. Anytime you take a hillside and you cut the vegetation off it, you're letting that water just flow right down through with trees and everything like that. That's gonna slow that progression of water extremely. And if you look at the way that, where the water runs, there's no ditches, it runs right down the flat driveway surfaces, washes that driveway out, so you're getting that larger volume of water
All the way across.
all right at once.
Is it coming across 15?
It does.
Yeah.
Well, and I think,
It doesn't come across the road, but it comes through the culvert systems.
Right.
and I know it also goes back to the ditching of streets and roads, because I know like on Center Street, it runs downhill from Gabriella's, and I have to clear it, by hand. And that one that's at the bottom of Homer Hill and Center Street, that gets plugged constantly. It can't handle any amount of water at this point. There's a lot of vegetation that's growing in the drain itself. And it just gets plugged with all the gravel and slate and everything else.
Are the size of culverts an issue?
And
There's
some,
also some kind of a spring or something that comes out with that brown house.
Yeah, there has to be. Yep.
Or a hole.
Yeah, right, yep.
And that water comes out there. And one solution I think you might want to look into would be to bring that across the Homer Hill Road and put it into the ditch on the other side. So then it'll go down and go through the culvert
Yeah.
that's on the other side of Homer Hill.
Right.
I mean, I think there's a larger issue that doesn't
well,
solve
that's the thing, is like, there's also another larger issue down on Water Street that came across the road last night and washed out, like, Vern Darlin's, the side of his house, washed out all of the slate that he put last summer because it washed out. And then it's coming underneath the red, what is that? Is it
The old rail station.
the old rail
Oh.
station? It came under that. And so it's been brought to my attention that there's some drainage out there, but it's not been maintained in years.
How's that new construction doing?
And so we need to address that too, because Vern, obviously we can't do much about his ditch because he has a ditch that runs through his property. We can't do a whole lot about the ditching, but the water coming across the road and washing out half of his yard and down beside his house is the very same thing that we're doing with our beach. It's coming from a bigger source so all the Band-Aids he does isn't gonna fix it until we investigate.
Fix it up.
And then the same thing with Terry Godet on the North Guilford Road. He has a culvert that is destroyed in front of his house.
Yeah.
And it's, ruining his trees and making them uproot and stuff like that. And so, and then there's ditching on the Dickinson Road, ditching on the Ellisville Road, ditching on Water Street, ditching on Pleasant Street.
Say ditching on all the roads.
Ditching on all the roads,
Every
yeah.
road, yeah, I mean, it's
And then after this week, I don't even know what our road budget is gonna look like for the rest of the summer for maintenance.
right,
Do you know how much is in the budget for road maintenance this year?
not enough.
Not enough, no. There was only like 7,500 budgeted this year for road maintenance, and
I mean, that's gonna be
That's
all
gonna be
spent
today.
up, but after today.
yeah, so we're gonna
By
have to
noon,
look.
we were done with that.
Right, so we're gonna have to look into what the road improvement reserve looks like to do some of this work. Because,
Aren't we still waiting for money from the repairs from Elliotsville last year though? Or did that come in?
no, so that's the FEMA, money.
That's the FEMA, okay.
Yeah.
That was, I think, Elena.
Well, and we only got part of the Ellisville Road, cause the July washed out completely across the road, we didn't get anything for that.
And I think it wasn't, I don't think it was handled correctly, I think, is that fair to say? As far as Elena, as she's gotten into the nitty gritty, it wasn't filed
Right.
correctly, correct?
Right.
I mean, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say that, and
Yeah.
so I think there was an idea that we were gonna get money for that, but it was never real, and that she's been working with FEMA to solve that.
It was $40-something thousand we spent out there.
There's all this resiliency grant money available. Is any of that something that would be?
That's a
Well, and when I met with the FEMA people, they also were talking about there's some grants available for like what is it starts with an M, mitigation?
Well, yeah,
Mitigation, yes. There's money for that and basically if you can prove that you're doing this because you're preparing for the future of larger storms and all of this, there's money to be found there. So that's worth looking into too.
Yeah, I think, is this something that obviously we need to, and we've said it at the last several meetings, we need to come up with that longer term
Plan.
capital.
And we need to stop just giving that lip service and actually like come up with a working group to figure this out. And I think again, it goes back to, we have experts or people with a lot more experience. Brian comes to mind, Justin probably, that could really work in an advisory capacity to help us.
And we could
develop
even
that.
do it like in part, like we
Right.
do road work and then we do.
But we can't keep, I mean, we're nickel and diming this stuff to death, and all it is pushing it and making it worse down the road.
And we're just repeating, like,
Right.
you know, the,
You guys spent $46,000 to fix emergency repairs on roads last summer, and that
Right.
could have gone towards,
Right,
preventative maintenance.
Right. and so I think figuring, like, yes, it comes to a head every time there's a situation where you get 6 inches of rain in 8 hours or whatever, but we've gotta start, it seems like that's happening more and more frequently.
And it's going to.
And we need to actually sit down, and I don't think it needs to be at a select board meeting because there's so many
Other things to talk about.
other things, but we need to, and I would be willing to be a part of that. I'm far from an expert in that, but we need to
Be happy, I don't know how much help I can be, but I would be happy to do anything that would help.
you have expertise that we don't have, so that's valuable.
I think that's a logical step that
Yeah.
we can take. It doesn't address any of those immediate concerns, but this is silly that we're repeating this over and over and over, and we can't continue to do it this way. All it does is cost us more money in the long run. We're spending money now that is being spent to solve the immediate problem, but it's being spent horribly. Like, we don't have a choice.
Right back to your beach problem, where
Right.
you're fixing the beach, but you're
Exactly.
not fixing.
Right.
And it's not-
It's not, and then
No,
even Elliottsville.
Well, I was gonna say, our business driveway has gone up
Yeah.
right.
5 times last year and a half. And Steve has replaced the culvert. I think he put a little bit bigger one in last year, but it's still coming from up the road where it's washing out and not holding, and so it's a domino effect.
It is.
And my other concern is just the integrity of the road. You know, I like how it collapsed last year. Like, if there water, I'm not an expert, but I assume if there's a lot of water that gets under that pavement, it's gonna give.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we want to try to come up with a committee in the meantime between now and next month and then try to go next to figure out and prioritize what?
How do we move forward?
Gotta have a plan.
We're just
Have a plan, yeah.
throwing,
I think it's kind of a two-pronged thing. You've gotta come up with the money to do it,
Right.
and you've gotta come up with a plan of what you're gonna do.
Right.
Cause there's no point in knowing what you're doing if you can't pay for it.
right, absolutely.
So
And so
if there's no money in the budget, then there's no rush to get this committee together. It's.
No, but it does give us an idea as to, like, if there's something that we can do to prevent something from happening, it may be worth spending some money out of the road improvement reserve, or it may be worth looking into other options, because it is important. I can't foresee us not doing anything this summer to move us forward in a better direction.
I think
Just because
Glenn's point, I've seen multiple times, and I know we wrote the grant to buy the solar. But I've seen multiple things about resiliency and water mitigation. And so there is, I believe there is money out there. I think, if we can look at some of those opportunities, some of those, I mean, we're a very small community. To imagine that we're suddenly gonna come up with the multiple, I mean, I'm assuming
Hundreds of thousands.
hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to do this is not realistic.
And having a
And so-
committee to put together like a plan, or at least put it so that it's clear for us all to see, that would put us in a much better situation at budget time and starting that conversation sooner
Right,
rather
so
than
that we
later.
don't have just $7,500 to work
I would
with and
think
have,
that applying for some of those grants, you
would need that plan.
A plan,
something
exactly,
in
so.
place
yep.
to be able to say, this is our
What we
order of
need.
operations, kind of,
Yep,
this is what we
absolutely.
need to accomplish, and
Mhm.
here's our tax base, it doesn't add up.
And
Right.
before we even do that, we should, save those pictures of the road commission right now, because when you submit for grants, that's
Yeah,
really
They
helpful
love
too.
pictures.
And
yeah,
speaking of grants, I know I've heard about federal funds to mitigate the effects of climate change.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about
That's,
here.
yeah, that's
The
what.
weather's changing, the roads are
Right.
not built for this.
right.
I think we probably need to focus on finding the government agency that's gonna help pay for this. And maybe it's FEMA, maybe it's somebody else.
There's a lot of discussion with this resiliency money about the coast. And I mean, cause they took it in the
Last
year,
year.
tremendous, huge cost. And so this resiliency money became available, but it's not just for the coast.
Right.
And if there's any of that we can get. I mean, that's what you applied for to buy the solar.
Solar.
Right, that's what I was just like.
And
Well, a couple of thoughts. Could we contact Lori Osher, to see if there's any other grants as far as the community resilience? But also, I'm wondering if we contact, like our representatives and,
Our
Yeah.
federal representative.
Well, and the guy that came with FEMA, he was the state agency for mitigation.
okay.
So maybe contacting him and seeing if there's money available and what kind of, I'll look back through my notes to see what his contact is, and maybe Lori, the FEMA lady, can give me his contact again.
I mean, Elliottsville alone, like between the bridge, wasn't that 250,000 was the estimate to fix Gully Brook Bridge?
That
And
was just
so
for the culvert, wasn't
that
it?
was
Yeah.
just for the, right,
Well, that's technically a bridge.
and it's a culvert. but
Box
it's a bridge.
culvert.
Yes, and that's just fixing that one spot, and so, I mean, you're probably gonna be approaching $1 million.
And we don't have that
That
money.
we don't have.
We don't. So anyway, I think it would probably, if we could set something up in the next month, and I don't think it needs to be the select board.
No,
I think it would be more effective if it's, if
an
we can,
advisory committee.
right, if we can get some residents. I mean, just,
Sooner rather than later.
Yeah, yeah.
Summer is going by quick.
and I heard Justin volunteered to be the chair.
The 90% of your problem is don't have any ditches left.
I know.
The ditches haven't been touched in 10
That's what you were
years.
saying.
I mean, just as a small example, my cellar drains directly into the ditch,
Right.
and I've watched that fill in to the point where the pipe is no longer out of the ground. It's at grade, and so it drains very slowly now, and it builds up in my cellar more than it did in before. Like, I was actually worried. I refused to look because I didn't want to have to call the fire department to come down my basement.
Well, they're gonna have
They're
to
not gonna
pump
do
their
that.
office and.
But I agree, Brian. I think we can't handle the water that we're getting, so.
And that's why, one of the reasons I think that Elliottsville's in the shape that it's in is because the water can't flow through the ditches like it
Exactly.
should. And like Aaron was saying, you're getting extra water and it's just not, and Sue, you mentioned bigger culverts and I think
Is that
that's
part of it?
definitely
My husband keeps saying bigger culverts, but I'm like, I know it's more than just
I mean,
one
you can
thing.
only,
It's a combination
It
of,
is, right, right.
But I mean, you also get that space in between, you could have the biggest culverts in the world, but if the space in between them is restricted.
Filled up,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
so let's move forward on
Okay.
that, I think.
I'll do
Yep.
what I can in the next.
Do we need to like vote to form this advisory committee?
Sure, why don't you do that just in
Alright,
case?
go for it,
She
Jen.
likes to vote.
I made so many motions.
I make a motion that we form
A road plan
a
advisory
road
committee.
plan advisory committee to,
Okay.
no, QED.
Okay, do we have to give them like a goal or what am I trying to say, like a,
Chatter,
what's that?
chatter.
Charter or just like what they're responsible for, like we did for the fire truck advisory committee?
I mean, we could add to the immediate need of dealing with the water issues that we're at. I don't know, I mean, you,
To address immediate and long-term road needs?
There you
yeah, there you go, that's good.
I love
Like it.
Perfect.
Alright,
Aaron seconds, we're good.
alright, any discussion? All in favor?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Justin's on that committee. Brian, you wanna be on that committee too?
I'll have to think about it.
All right. You let me know, okay?
You can
Time's
just,
up, Brian.
Any other recommendations?
Yeah, any other recommendations as to
Barbara?
Steve probably should be on that committee?
Steve for sure.
Steve, oh yeah,
Elena, I mean, your road commissioner.
Yeah,
yeah.
I wonder if
I don't know if you have time.
I could try to,
we can only have one of you, so you guys will have to duke it out.
I
Rock,
was,
paper,
I was,
scissors.
Whoever gets the intersection first tomorrow.
we'll race. Actually, we
You're
gotta
the
wait
water
for the,
guy.
we have to wait for the speed bump to be there, it's not valid. John Datko, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a lot of knowledge.
Okay.
And he lives at the bottom of the hill on Pleasant Street.
Right, so,
And
Does that wash out?
no,
no, it didn't.
The ditches are better up there.
They had just
Barrels
graded
Falls did well,
yesterday,
too.
right? Didn't they?
There's two French drains in that hill, and I know those are hooked up now.
There's a lot of water though, coming off that hill. So,
the night's still young, as I was saying.
no,
It's very old.
Okay, so John, does one of you want to be on this board committee?
I would, but if he wants it, he can have it.
no.
Okay, Aaron Sumudis. Executive
If we can
decision.
convince John to do it, that makes more sense because I work for John. and
Okay, he'll let you know.
Conflict of
I
interest.
see him enough. No,
Okay. Okay, well, we'll brainstorm if we need extra hands on deck. That's one, if Brian says yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 of us. So
That's good
six of
stuff.
us should be able to come up with something.
Okay. Excellent, alright, where are we?
I don't even know anymore.
What
Side
side
mowing.
mowing?
Okay, we already addressed
Yeah,
that.
We
we
did
already
that.
talked about that.
I don't even know where my agenda went. That's how.
I got it, alright. Smoking,
ordinance.
smoking ordinance.
Oh, I printed,
Maine Road,
That's right.
Peter Calgren,
that's his last name.
Right.
he'll have to
Yes, I actually forgot to mention that. I am
That's
going to
right.
reach out to him because I wanted him to look at the North Guilford Road, that section, and see what we should do. I wanted him to look at behind, but across the street from Burns to see
Right.
what we should do over there. And then go
can't do
from,
much of anything there.
yeah, I know.
It's a wetlands,
So, and then,
like your beach.
yeah, so, yes, I am going to contact him.
I remember that when we went to that conference.
Yes.
A couple years ago.
He came and
Thank you, Brian.
he was the same guy that came to look at the Burke Road with me a couple
Okay.
years ago. So we've met a couple
Alright.
times.
Excellent. So, all right, we covered roadside mowing.
Smoking ordinance.
Smoking ordinance, so we
So
have.
I gave you a copy of a sample one from MMA.
Would we just need to decide where designated areas are?
Yeah. Bye, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you guys for hanging in there.
Yeah, so then,
Went up to hook it back up and he's already changed this to the outdoors anyway. But I don't know if it's ground.
This made
Now it's gonna take-
sense, I'm wondering, I know we had talked about at one point,
Already changed it.
just a complete ban on town property.
Maybe that was.
right,
Yeah, because I can't imagine where it would be designated.
I mean, you could designate anyone, like here, you could make a spot.
like down
Here,
there
but
by
I
the,
think at the gym, there's no area,
I mean,
because
unless you made it behind
Libra,
or.
but then the kids play back there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think if we're gonna, I mean, this is essentially what we have now, isn't it? Like,
this, yeah, well,
Do we even have, do we have?
we don't
have
have
one
anything.
At
I
all.
mean, it's just state law.
It's just state law that
Which-
nobody follows.
Right, but I think it's essentially
Right.
20 feet away and all, I
Right.
believe is like.
So I guess if there's not a designated area, then you can't smoke there.
Right.
So if we had one here, out back, like,
Right. I mean,
put it on a tree or something,
I've been
smoking
saying
area.
it since long before I started. I think one of the worst pictures that we have is when, you know, it was all the firefighters up front smoking. I think that's just horrible.
And throwing their butts on the
Relations.
ground because
Well,
they didn't have.
so-
And just people smoking during our business expo right outside the gym door as families were coming through and the
Right.
smoke was wafting into the gym.
And that, it's not a comment on the firefighters,
Yeah.
it's just part of their
The
culture, and I think we need to change that, and
Yeah.
if we need to go, I think we could definitely designate,
We can put a picnic table back there with a little
Right.
butt can.
Like the other side of the green truck, down yonder.
yeah, I mean, I don't think that's.
Yeah, don't get them too close to the pump station, they'll blow us out.
Right. Okay, so,
And it says at least 20 feet, so yeah, let's just adopt it, if we wanna make an official one.
And it would just be for employees? Is that what we're thinking?
With anybody,
Or
Yeah.
anybody,
it's
anybody
everyone.
that comes?
It definitely applies to employees.
because you get those ones that go into Robinsons and they try to get those last 3 or 4 drags, just, they open the door with one hand.
it's my favorite when they hold the door open for me with it still in their mouth, and I'm like, I'm so glad to share this moment with you.
Have you ever seen the people like sit in the windowsill?
Oh, come back and get it.
Oh,
Come back and get it.
Oh, my goodness.
That's
Well,
the thing.
I just feel this is important, because, you know, as I'm reading our duties as a select board, you know, we're responsible for protection, health, safety, and welfare of town residents and employees.
And
It's just-
I also think that after one of our meetings at the gym, when we had multiple people comment about having to walk.
Signs on either side of the gym. floor.
Right.
Yeah.
Because a policy, nobody could be
Right,
assigned.
that's true.
No smoking within 20 feet of building. Is it 20 feet of a,
Well, no smoking on municipal property
well,
for this.
we kind of screwed at the gym then because municipal property is right outside ends right at the door.
Well, that was my question. Where's our property line?
I have no idea, all I
It's
know is
very
we
close
own
to the
half of the
building.
Parking.
parking lot.
I'm not.
Well, we have to pay for half of it.
I know
so-
we have to pay for half of it. The
So-
tax maps don't exactly show
We
that.
should find that out.
We should find that out.
Yeah,
Maybe there's a survey somewhere.
I'm sure the clinic
Probably
wouldn't
is.
mind.
Right.
But
Well,
we
the
should find
clinic's
it out.
probably there,
Probably smoke free, I would think.
it's,
Mm.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's smoke-free campus on,
Yeah,
I don't
Northern
know,
Light.
I don't know Libra's policy either. I don't know if they have it in their buildings or they
That's a
have
really
no
good
smoking.
question.
I think
Because-
they do.
I would assume they do. I
Yeah.
just,
that
Thinking about-
that didn't apply to the work crew.
well, no,
well, if there is a smoke-free campus, then there's no reason why we can't hang up no smoking signs.
So
at the gym.
maybe checking with the clinic in Libra, and if they're okay with us putting no smoking signs around
The gym.
the gym.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry, adding more to your list.
That's all right. I'm double-sided now.
Yeah.
It's all
We're
right.
almost done, almost done.
So a copy of, do we want to do anything with this? Or
So-
We should hold.
until,
Well, we want to have a designated smoking area.
Well, if we're saying no smoking on town property, then we
Right.
don't need to provide a smoking area.
right,
Because
Right,
they can't smoke on town property.
so we just,
so replace the third paragraph with the municipality of Monson also prohibits smoking in all outdoor areas on municipal owned or leased property.
right,
And that's not my understanding is that's not uncommon
Right.
in the state.
Right.
A lot of towns have adopted that as their
Right.
smoking.
So the firefighters have to stand in the middle of the road to smoke.
Right.
The boat launch is no smoking.
Right, the boat launch is no smoking. The gym is no smoking. The transfer station is no smoking.
About the beach.
The beach is municipal owned, so no smoking at the beach either.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
I have no problem with it either. I don't
I
wanna
don't-
take my kids to a beach where 2 feet away, somebody's smoking.
Well, not only that, but anybody that's got asthma or breathing problem.
Yeah.
exactly.
They're going to be
Exactly.
more affected by that.
Absolutely, my son and my husband have severe asthma, and it's just one of those things that's just irks
See,
me.
you know, it's one of those things that whatever you wanna put in your own body, but when you start to impact other
Me?
people.
Yeah, that's the,
And more than likely, you're probably gonna get 60-70% of people that will
Yeah.
abide by that, but you're always gonna get that other bunch that.
Right, I mean, it does boil down to enforcement. and, I mean, unless we're gonna deputize Marty.
Right.
give her a badge.
Well, I was ready to go outside the gym that.
I know.
But I didn't have this to
Right.
back me up.
So, so do you want me to go ahead and edit this and move the third line to
Replace the third paragraph.
replace?
Yeah,
Okay,
you guys good with that?
and then you guys, do you want me to do that and then you? Yeah,
Okay. Okay, we lost one, lien process?
lien process, okay, so this is basically just to go over what the lien process is. Sue indicated that there was a lot of unpaid taxes noted in the town report.
Yeah,
So we just sent out 30-day notices, which basically means, so there's
Thank you,
like a-
Justin, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
Yeah, I think I'm leaving too.
Okay. We'll see
I know about
tomorrow.
lien process.
Yeah. So, there's like a tax table timeline, so it's dated from when the commitment happens. And then there's like so much time, it's like 9 months or something like that of unpaid taxes, and then you can apply for, then it's a 30-day process where you send them a certified letter saying that you have 30 days or we're gonna place a lien on your property. So we're in the 30-day notices right now. We've already sent them out. And usually after we send out 30-day notices, there's a huge influx of people that come and pay their taxes. They just need to be reminded that they're gonna be placed, a lien's gonna be placed on their property and they all freak out. Then, once the lien is placed, you have 18 months to pay that lien off before it goes into foreclosure.
Oh, okay.
So that's the process. And then they would get another 30-day notice to, the impending automatic foreclosure
Right.
would be. So then, after that 30 days, then they would have to pay off the whole amount, everything that they've owed to keep their property. If they pay it within the 30 days of the impending foreclosure, they only have to pay that last year's that's being a lien, that's going to foreclosure. So,
So,
And do capital play by.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna
There are
say, so-
people that play that game.
right, so when you look in the town report, people have multiple years of.
but they usually only have, they can only have like
At the time,
2.5
it's
years.
$700 a tree.
So it may say 3, but that third year in November of this year is
Right.
gonna go to impending foreclosure.
And then they come in and pay.
And then they come in and pay.
'Cause I'm sure
They pay just what they need to
Yeah, I
get.
know,
It's
it
frustrating.
is frustrating, because
And if they
it's
mess up just one time, they lose their property.
money we
so-
can have for roads.
It's not enough, but.
I know.
Yeah, but the
Well, some of
majority,
it is.
the majority of people will pay once they get that 30-day lien notice, which I personally got one this year because my taxes were taken out at closing. For some reason, the town cashed the check, but there's no record of
Oh my
it
goodness.
on my account. I'm like, I literally do this for a living, so I know that this is your fault.
Is, like the property on, I think it was on Water Street, that was at like 20,000 that was for knocking down a
Yeah,
house
yeah.
that was knocked down. I mean, that's essentially a write-off, correct?
Pretty much.
I mean,
Well,
will we take that property in theory eventually? Like,
yeah.
Is that how it works?
Oh, yeah, he's,
Okay.
that, soon that one.
Soon,
will be-
that
I
will
knew
be in
that one
November.
had to be closed.
I'm gonna say next time foreclosure time rolls around, that one's gonna be on it.
Right, so that's a
I mean,
supplemental.
and the same thing would happen, I assume, if something moves forward on Center Street
Right.
and we are forced to take that one down.
Right.
It's gonna cost us money to take it
They're
down.
not gonna pay it.
Charge
and-
to him. He's not gonna pay it.
Right, but he might though.
He might,
But he's,
if he, especially if he gets the 50.
that property's current on all taxes.
Yeah, oh yeah, he pays his taxes.
Yes.
The one on, the one that we would lose our shirts on, I think, is the Tiny Hill property, because that's just a teensy little parcel
But
anyway.
isn't there
Nothing's
somebody
much
that wants
but-
to buy the Teddy Hill property?
There's some legal litigation at the
Mhm.
moment.
So,
Lieber's interested
There you
too,
go,
but you
that's what I
can't.
mean.
But
That's who we're
unfortunately,
talking
we're too late, and well, we couldn't just sell it to somebody anyways,
Right.
but.
and we own that already, right?
Mhm.
We didn't know that until just recently.
Kinda recently.
What
Yeah.
happened that we didn't know that? Or-
I don't know, probably just got buried in the shuffle,
Right.
you know, and then I don't even remember how that came to light.
I think Marty was hoping to be able to pick up his property cheap. No, just kidding.
No,
No.
you know what though, if I was just me and I didn't need like any land or anything, I would have loved to have that little brown place at the bottom of Homer Hill. I think
Oh
that
my
place
gosh.
is so cute
Is
and I'm.
that town owned?
No, it
We
was,
sold
but
it
we
a few
put it
years
out to
ago.
bid. And the
Jim-
guy that bought it was, he lives in
Wentworth owned it,
Hampshire.
right?
Yes.
Years ago, so,
And I believe Jeff Killen wanted to
He did
buy
put in a bid.
and didn't, and he would have done, it's unfortunate because he would have done something. I wish you
Yeah.
could take that into account.
so is anybody doing?
You
anything
can
with
put
No.
that into
Not
account.
for
You don't have
years.
to go with the lowest.
And
Oh,
people have asked
well,
him to
they
sell it
didn't
to
take it
them,
into
and he said,
account.
no, for what I paid for that, I'm just gonna keep it. And it's just getting worse and worse,
Oh
and
my gosh.
it's really terrible, like,
Yeah.
it's such a bummer, because
Yeah.
I was really rooting for the guy, because he wanted to move here, and he was gonna do that, and, you know, it was just, I don't know, and I was so happy that he got it, because it sounded like he had the best plan, you know, and so
So
it's kind
taxes,
of.
taxes are paid on that one?
Yeah, he pays his taxes,
It's too bad.
it is too bad.
Well, we can condemn a building.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that'll be next on the list, huh?
I mean, that one's getting closer and closer. and
We need
so-
better documentation before we start.
Maybe when we knock down Center Street, we can back all the rodents, bring them over there so
We
they can move
do
into that
need-
house.
To do a better job, and I think I told Marty this, I probably told you. I think that one of the problems with the whole Center Street thing is that
Are
it
we-
was not documented
Are we done?
well.
Well, no.
It wasn't documented well, and I think we need to do a better job, and that goes back to what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I had under miscellaneous, and I brought it up earlier, was a discussion about Gore Palmer. I'm not really in the mindset to do that tonight. I do think that, we need to figure out next steps and is there support, and, I mean, the price tag they were talking about seems incredibly unrealistic, especially in light of.
What did they say?
$10 to $20 million.
Well, and it's an 80-10-10 split, so the town's responsibility would be $1 to $2 million, and there's just.
Yeah, that's in the budget, isn't it?
So.
Yeah.
I'll just write it in at the bottom.
I think we needed more details, and I think your point that evening also was spot on, that we don't have to accept all
Right,
the pieces.
and that's where I think the discussion needs to come, like, I think some of the stuff would be absolutely fantastic.
Mhm.
And if you were drawing out Monson before you had a town sitting here, would be the ideal way to lay it out. I think there's some constraints.
I really don't enjoy the no parking in front of town office.
I didn't either.
That's gonna be hard. I
That
know.
is gonna be hard. And our only handicap accessible door is the front door.
Right, and I think, like,
Every delivery.
I sat here in the first meeting and I think I was thinking that the museum would love an area in front that wasn't pavement and wasn't
Right.
like allowed people to go to the visitor center and allowed people to kind of hang out and go to the gift shop and go see the museum.
I was gonna ask, why couldn't they have a smaller area and then have on-street parking in
Right.
front of that?
They
You know,
could,
still
or
have
they
that.
could move that area to the side or to the back where they're proposing all the parking and
Right.
parking in front. So I think but anyway, I
Right.
think it needs to be a conversation at some point because I don't get the impression that.
No, I get the impression that people think we're doing this to them, not with
Right.
them.
And
Oh,
I,
yeah.
and I wasn't part of the original discussions when I think it was a grant that paid for it, correct?
Partially,
Partially.
Or
not yet.
Not
We have to put the bill and then we get reimbursed.
like, but I think it's important that we do something at some point that gauges actual support for any part of it. And
I
if the
agree.
town doesn't support it, then let's stop giving it energy.
And I think it's important, and I wanted to ask this actually, and I'm glad you brought it up, like, so it was mentioned, you know, of how we inform people. And I think it would behoove us for the next public meeting to send out a flyer.
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
It might cost us, but,
Not that much though.
okay.
It's not that expensive to
All
send
the
something
residents.
uptown, yeah.
Yeah, I think I think,
I was actually starting to think about doing like a town newsletter aside from, I know the collaborative does theirs,
Yeah.
but I think having something directly from the town would be beneficial.
Mhm.
I just haven't brought it up because I personally don't have time right now.
Right.
Nobody does, and I mean, maybe that might be a Jade project, but I also have thrown a lot at Jade in the last few months, so I don't wanna scare her off either.
Yeah, let's
Let's-
get on top of stuff.
Right,
but
and
I
then-
do think we need to look at, how we're notifying, and I think we're doing our due diligence
I
with that,
feel
but
like we also need to make people take a little bit of credibility for their
agree.
own,
I agree, but I do think,
aside from going door to door and saying,
I do think posting on Facebook doesn't need to require.
Right.
no,
Yeah.
for sure.
I think that, you know, we post in certain locations, but if you don't go to those locations, and there is willful ignorance, or
Oh, yeah.
willful, like, I don't wanna say ignorance.
No,
because-
but people are busy, like when I was
Right.
teaching, I rarely stop in town. I would
Right.
go to work, you know, spend hours and just come home.
Mhm.
I never frequented downtown.
Right, and so I think it's important that we, for some of these bigger issues, like, while I don't think the point was made as effectively as it might have been, I Right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
We do, a lot of people say.
I mean, you can only do so much for people.
Like, okay, I don't have to on Facebook, that's fine. The town website though, and if I'm looking for particular information, I know I need to go seek it out. So if you wanna know what's going on
Was
in
it
the
on
town,
the-
then just go.
like,
Yes,
I
it was.
I
It was.
looked for it on the town website after, before, because I couldn't remember if it was at 5 or 6, and I was trying to find it, and I finally found it, but through Facebook, not, like, I
Yeah, it
couldn't
was
find,
on,
okay.
it was on the website
What
too.
was it
So-
under?
It's residents and news.
I went to residents, I went to meetings,
Yeah.
and it wasn't
news.
under meetings, and so I was like, and then-
Right, and you were
Yeah.
trying to hurry up to get it, yeah. I
Yeah, maybe we
understand.
could make things more obvious so people don't get frustrated
Or
like
is
that.
there a way to make it so
Like,
that if there's
on
a posting like that, it
I
shows up on the
wish-
front page?
That's what I was
Yeah,
wondering. I don't know what,
There must be.
Jade is, so when something needs to be posted, I email Jade and I
Right.
send it to her because that, for me to absorb how to post on the website, it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so that,
It's not-
so Jade, I can talk with Jade and see if there's like, maybe we can have,
Or a banner
like
or
a-
something.
right, a banner or like a news thing at the bottom or something that's, or even a calendar that
Right.
has
Yeah,
something on the front that has like red for things that are going on.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
when you get to this page, something that would go across.
yeah. Or even up here, another tab that was
Right.
Calendar,
Like,
yeah.
that was included all those postings, cause I don't want to be able to be accused of, like, it's been mentioned several times
Secret
about secret
meetings.
meetings and
Yeah.
we do not do that.
No,
And I wouldn't,
no, and I can't even, I can believe that he said it to me, but it just boggles me a little bit because since I've been here, my goal is to involve more people.
right,
And I even wrote that in my town manager letter in the town report,
Mhm.
is the engagement. Because I do not like it when there's 3 people that represent the entire
right.
town.
It's why it seems like Justin's been coming to meetings.
Right.
And I
Yeah,
need people that have ideas and that have expertise that we don't have.
Right.
So, anyway, we should adjourn.
Good point.
You got
Go
some
ahead.
more to sign.
What's
know
all
what?
this? You gotta sign all these too.
I'm gonna stop in.
Come back tomorrow.
Come back
Yeah,
tomorrow.
whenever,
We'll be here
whenever
tomorrow.
it's good for
Yeah.
you. I mean,
I got,
unless you want, if that was good for you, do
go
it.
for it.
we'll go bathroom, I will.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
9:42.
Second.
Any discussion?
Are you voting to adjourn, Aaron?
No, he wants to hang out.
Vote to adjourn?
Okay, and we are done at,
9:40.
oh my gosh.